Okay, first item on the minutes is the approval of the minutes. Does anybody have any, we have minutes from the two board meetings in here. Does anybody have any approval or comments or changes? Do we have a motion for approval? Move to approve. Okay, Richard move to approve. Second? Brian Kaufman seconds. Those in favor say aye. Aye. Those opposed say nay. Item number 4 is public body comment. Do we have any public body comment? Ma'am?
I have a few questions regarding agenda number 9 for today. And I'm curious, do you mean counseling? Do you mean training? That's number 1. And then you discuss putting things in the treasurer's personnel files. Well, she's an elected official, so I don't know that there'd be a personnel file any more than you guys have personnel files because you're elected officials. And then I really sort of questioned that it would be the chairman doing the counseling, since I don't know that even the meetings are held legally here, so I don't know that I would count on that, even though I know there'll be a new chairman in another month. And as far as the state's attorney counseling the treasurer, I guess my question on that would be, the attorney could no more come in and run the treasurer's department, more so than the treasurer could go in and run a criminal case in the courtroom. They have to work together in their jobs, but they really don't have to, I don't know what the attorney has to train that person on. I don't know, it just seems like, and why is one person being picked out? Shouldn't all elected officials be counseled, instead of just one person? Because I think everybody needs to be, quote, counseled if one needs to. And then I do have a comment to read from taxpayer Margaret Davison, and I would like to read that to everybody. It says, I am contacting you because I cannot attend the 11/12 meeting, and I want to express my dissatisfaction with an item on your agenda referring to a motion for Shelby County Treasurer to receive, quote, counseling indicating negligence and duties performed. I attended the meeting on 11/4/20 and was pleased that the motion to remove Erica Fernhaber as county treasurer was not acted upon. If the county treasurer is being singled out requiring counseling in order for duties to be performed professionally and accurately, the entire county board is in need of counseling, including the state's attorney. Since I have been attending these meetings, I have observed nothing but power struggles, conflict, and blame. The county treasurer has been scapegoated for issues the board and state's attorney have messed up. The county treasurer paid the bill as ordered by the judge. However, it's my understanding that decision, according to statute, may still be in question. The county treasurer is working hard to do what is right for the taxpayers and to restore integrity to Shelby County. It's the eve of a new county board, and I ask that you stop blaming, learn from past issues to improve board performance. I appreciate your time and commitment for being on this board and believe you individually want the best for Shelby County. Please work positively together to pass to new board members the best representation of your work by dropping this negative agenda you have for the county treasurer. It is also my request that you consider moving meeting times to the evening so it would be easier for the state's attorney as well as the public to attend. Thank you. Margaret Davis.
Ma'am, what district are you from?
I live like 6 blocks from here. I don't know what district. 10.
10, okay.
Okay.
Thank you.
Yeah,
Martha?
I just like to piggyback what Sharon and what Margaret had to say in her letter. I think singling out one single elected position to quote-unquote counsel is unfair and inappropriate. I think every elected official should take it upon themselves to read the statutes that govern the work that they do, just like I believe each and every one of you should take it upon yourselves to read and understand the statutes that govern what you're supposed to do. I think the state's attorney is here to the council. It's been unfortunate that for the last 8 years, you guys have had poor representation and assistance and guidance from our state's attorney, but I do expect that to change come December 1. I was disappointed to see an item, agenda item number 11, regarding a motion and a potential vote to pay farm taxes illegally, using taxpayer dollars illegally. I thought it's been made pretty clear over the last 9 months with Mr. Allen reading statute multiple times that this isn't a legal request. I hope you'll think long and hard before you potentially move to pass that. Mr. Chairman, I have a question for you. I believe you're in receipt of a letter from Attorney at Law Tom Spinks, dated October 21, 2020. Do you intend to comply with his request?
I saw that letter last night. Evidently, Will was not involved and you were not involved in anything. I apologize for accusing you on the rumor.
Thank you, I appreciate that.
Steve?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I'd like to give you guys just a little update on our situation with COVID-19. Last 3 days, we've had about 75 new cases. Half of them are in Shelbyville. I was warning the citizens to take precautions and be careful out there. Health Department has signed up for a provider agreement to receive COVID vaccine from the federal government, and also a redistribution agreement to be able to redistribute that to sensitive and needy senior citizens and that, such as in nursing homes and that. At this point, so that would be made available at no cost. It would be voluntary. We may start seeing the vaccine coming at the end of the year, depending on what type and brand of vaccine. You've heard the information on Pfizer. Pfizer is 90% effective, they say, but the problem is you have to have ultra low freezer temperatures. It has to go down to 70 degrees below zero. But it can come up, if you get the vaccines, basically shipped to dry ice, and then it has to be administered within 5 days. And that's a 2-dose vaccination. Johnson & Johnson, we still don't know how effective that is. That is a one-dose type of vaccine, which would be good too. So again, we will probably be at 1,000 positive cases in Shelby County by the end of the week. We are seeing more cases now than we've ever seen. Again, in the last 3 days, 75 new cases happened in Shelbyville. They're all over the county, the record number of cases in the nation. Illinois positivity rates over 12% right now. So any questions on COVID for me at this point, or anything that we're doing that we can help?
Well, I've got a question. It
Okay.
doesn't pertain to COVID whatsoever. But you're still, in behalf of the county here, you're still supplying flu shots.
Oh, absolutely. We're still running full operation as well. We take precautions as best we can. We've had some scares.
Steve, I got a little more for you, is the shingles shot. I was told, my wife called a certain pharmacy and they were a year backed up.
Well, we can give basically, the problem with the shingle shot for us has to do with Medicare Part D. If you're just using commercial insurance or, you know, it's a $200-some vaccine. If you're just using, and the Shingrix requires 2 vaccinations. We actually do have that, I believe. I'm pretty sure we do have that available. If, you know.
But if you have normal insurance,
Yeah.
and bring that
Yeah,
up.
now Medicare, we have Part A and Part B, and D is a pharmacy. And don't ask me why they did this a long time ago, but for Medicare recipient to get specifically only 2 vaccines, varicella, chickenpox, and shingles vaccination, you have to have Part D to get reimbursed from Medicare. And so we send a person who had Medicare Part D to the pharmacy to get that. Now, I do believe we have it. Each call out the health department and after this, and it should be. I'm pretty sure we have it. We can help take care of it.
Well, I was surprised, I won't say the pharmacy's name, but a year behind, you got on a waiting list for a
Well, you
year.
know, a lot of commercials, drive a lot of business. You know, you see a lot of Shingrix commercials. People want to get it.
That's why I asked about the flu, because I thought maybe.
We have flu vaccine now in hand. We even have high dose still. At this point, we received the second shipment of high dose. They're quadrivalent, 4 strains of vaccine, or 4 strains of influenza that will protect you from. And that, so, you know, we would recommend you get a flu shot, especially if you're immunosuppressed and that, or have underlying health conditions such as diabetes, asthma, and other things. Anything else on that? Okay, Danny?
I thought I heard you say that Pfizer vaccine, that you have to keep it at like 100,
70 degrees below 0 Celsius, I believe, is dry ice.
which is about 100 and some Fahrenheit, yeah. And then, at what temperature do you administer that?
That would probably be refrigerated temperatures at that point within 5 days of receiving it. Now, if the Johnson vaccine is effective, and we don't know exactly what we're going to get or what the state of Illinois is going to get, all we've done is sign out paperwork to get it. And it's voluntary, and it's free, no cost, and it's just up to you whether you want it or not. The Johnson's different. It can be stored at normal freezer temperatures and refrigerated, and then it's a completely different method of attacking the virus, and that's 1 dose instead of 2. Now, there's other ones out there, Moderna and stuff like that. We have to see what happens on that. But we do, as a health department, we do have Shelby County, we have all the paperwork in place to get that vaccine, to offer it to the communities, and we would probably follow the same type of regimen we did with H1N1. Basically, first responders, healthcare workers, infrastructure, government, pharmacists, dentists, and work our way backwards, which is what we did with H1N1 when it came out. And then we eventually opened up to the public at that point.
How often are you testing that? Have you had any rapid tests or?
Well, I wish you wouldn't ask that, but that's okay. We provided 690 rapid test kits to the hospital. You have to be careful with rapid tests. Rapid tests sometimes is not as sensitive as a molecular PCR test. and they give you a false security that you're negative at times. That's what's happened with the White House and that. That's what's happened with some of our nursing homes. That's why we had some deaths in the nursing homes because of this. But these tests were still yet, the scorecards yet to still be out on them. It does give us some ability to basically test a symptomatic or non-symptomatic employee, just kind of an idea. It's a 15-minute test. It's like a pregnancy test. Doesn't require a machine. Those are new. We've just received those probably in the last week. Like I said, we did a major distributing to the Good Shepherd Hospital, actually Tuesday on that. But, some of the pharmacies and stuff that use this at this point, it's still, at this point, I don't think it's a good approach right now to use as a definite determination, especially a congregate setting with susceptible population like nursing home residents or group homes that have senior citizens and stuff like that at this point. Okay, that's it. We got a big agenda. I just wanted to say on behalf of the local emergency planning committee, I want to thank Bruce Cannon and his chairmanship during that time. And during that time, he developed a rural reference road system. We went from basic 911 to enhanced 911. And because of your chairmanship and tenure, that we have that, protecting the citizens of Shelby County. And I want to thank you for that.
Hey, Mr. Chairman, I got a question. Is there state's attorney here, or am I missing her?
I don't think she's here.
She's not here, sir?
I don't see her.
Okay, thank you.
Good morning, I'm here to talk about number 9 and number 11. I found it curious that you want to counsel the treasurer, Mr. Chairman, when you don't even know your own job. How are you going to know her job? And one of your jobs should be to tell Ms. Cheney that paying property taxes belonging to other private individuals violates state law. I'll start out with Article 8, Section 1 of the Illinois Constitution. Public funds, property, or credit shall only be used for a public purpose. And Section B, the state, units of local government, and school districts shall incur obligations for payment or make payments from public funds only as authorized by law. It doesn't say only as authorized by law unless the county board forgot to tell the farmers they had to pay their own taxes and they don't pay the taxes for them. That's not what it says. Illinois Department of Revenue published a document, front page, it's a couple hundred pages long, I didn't want to print it. You can find it online. But it says, one of the
You show the audience that she...
Illinois property tax system, Illinois Department of Revenue.
Okay, thank you.
One of the pages in there talks about that most people in businesses pay property taxes. And then a bullet point, leaseholders pay property taxes on real property leased from an owner whose property is exempt. And here's an example that they put in here. I didn't add this. The Department of Revenue put this in there. Example, the state owns agricultural property and leases it to a farmer. Wow. The farmer's responsible. Not the state. The farmer's responsible here, not the county taxpayers.
I got a question. And so be it, if that's what it says. But we've been doing this, what I've been told, way before me, okay? Are you guys going to be looking at all those individuals from back then to come back and to pay the taxes? That's what my question is.
needs to be stopped now.
But that was illegal back then, right?
Correct. However, the property tax code, let's say it mistakenly doesn't get paid when a bill doesn't get sent. It only allows you to go back the previous year, sometimes 3 years. I would suggest that the county will take a vote to audit that, make them pay it all. But I'm not a county board member. I'm suggesting today, and this year, you don't pay that tax on behalf of the farmers that lease the property.
Okay.
Yeah, I don't know what's done.
Mr. Kaufman over here, they're in midstream of this contract, and I really respect your questions and everything, Brian. You know, what you, so, I mean, the only thing I can see is Brian's committee is in the middle of this and have signed contracts, and you're saying that it is void, right?
Contract's good. It doesn't say who has to pay property taxes. That means the leaseholder has to pay. And I'll give you an example. In the municipal code, when a municipality leases out property, the statute permits them to put in the lease, actually requires them to say who's responsible for those property taxes. So the municipality has the authority granted them by the legislature to say, you know, the village of whatever is responsible for these property taxes, and put that in the lease. The county's code doesn't grant the county the authorization to do that. And it's just, I'm not an attorney, and I don't know how to explain it any better. Other than if one statute grants somebody the authority to do something, and the other statute doesn't grant a different person the same authority, then that person doesn't have that authority. That's what you call diligence. The government body only authorized to do whatever the state legislature authorized them to do, and nothing more, period.
I mean, you had to know this was coming, that I was going to ask. But last month I brought up to Mr. Allen, and you can jump in here anytime you want. But Edgar County pays it the way we've been doing it. It was my understanding from their treasurer, or county clerk. But the point is, are they going to pay it? Is Edgar County going to pay it, or have they started charging the farmer or the leaser?
I know you brought that up, and I've got to ask, but I believe several years ago that
They told me on the phone a few weeks ago that they do not do what you're trying to force us to do.
Who's job to?
Augie.
Who's that back there talking?
Augie,
that was, I don't know.
Mr. Allen.
I am.
And I asked him to jump in, so.
Okay.
And that's fine, we'll fix it then too. They do things wrong, and, you know, let me try to get.
Yeah, but you guys have known they're doing it wrong.
No, we had to fix it one time, we just haven't went back and checked.
I know
you
one-
brought it up, I remember you bringing it up.
Do you see our problem sitting here?
Actually, no, it's not a problem. Here's why. When we initially identified it there, they fixed it. Now, if they've gone back to a different way, I haven't looked at their current contract to see what they've done. I can't hear you.
Hey, Bobby, you wanted to hear what you said. He didn't hear you.
Talk to somebody else.
Go ahead.
Okay. Initially, they had taken care of it. If they've gone back to doing something different, I'm not aware of that. The point is, and I mentioned this last time, and you had the same problem here, our state's attorney won't enforce anything. There comes a point, I think the good Lord said, you wipe the dust off your feet and move on, because there's some places that just are too hard-headed to fix a problem. And there's times that Edgar County's been that way. And if they've reverted back to doing that, we'll look into it, and we'll talk to them about it, but we know we fixed it once there. Just like we did with the health insurance. They were getting health insurance illegally. Just like not not bidding out health insurance.
I got it.
The point is, and I said this my very first meeting, and there was an appointment made, and I don't remember the board member, but my recommendation was, please, just do one thing. Before you act on an agenda item, ask the question, where in the law does it give me the power to do what I'm getting ready to do? And if you can't find that statute, you need to get a written legal opinion, not a verbal opinion, because as you know, your state's attorney tells you all kinds of things that aren't accurate. And we have seen that across the board. When you get it in writing, then you can fix it. But during that first meeting, I said, do not depend on what other counties are doing or not doing as your guidance. Because just because they're doing it that way doesn't make it right. And this is a perfect example of that. Our whole 911 system in Edgar County is why the watchdogs got started. To this day, that chairman and our state's attorney will not hold the 911 board accountable to follow the law. And the taxpayers have paid for it for years. And there's nothing I can do about it unless I'm going to pull money out of my pocket and sue the hell out of them. We're trying to fix this without having to go to court. That's the goal. They're simple fixes. How many read the I'm sorry, John, I'll get to that during my public comment. So,
Can I have the floor back?
yes.
And the one thing that he mentioned, Kirk mentioned, where the law does allow me to do that. I can point to where the law doesn't disallow you to do it. Actually, Section 9-195 of the Property Tax Code. When it talks about leasing property, and I'll bring this to you, I'll even give you a copy if you want. Taxes talks about leasing of exempt property, and it says taxes on that property shall be collected in the same manner as on property that is not exempt, and the leasee, meaning the leaseholder, meaning the farmer or the tenant, shall be liable for those taxes. And then it takes into consideration, well, maybe the tenant doesn't pay the taxes. And it says, however, no tax lien shall attach to the exempt real estate. So whether the tenant pays taxes or not, they can't take the property and sell it at a tax sale. It's not a game against the county for unpaid taxes or delinquent taxes. It can't be because the statute says it can't be.
Okay, I was under the impression of what you fellows said last meeting, that the county cannot lease this farm ground. Is that right or wrong?
That's an entirely different argument. I'm arguing against the county using taxes.
I understand what you're saying.
That belong to somebody else.
I just have a question.
There's ways to do that, and I don't think the way to go is the problem. I'm going to back.
In other words, it's doable if it's done properly.
Now, I believe we explained one or two ways to do it properly. One of those was to give the property to the airport.
Yes, I understand.
I just got a quick comment. Our assessor's office records go back to 1976, and from 1976 to today, the farm that we're talking about has always been taxed. It's never been exempt. The taxes have always been paid from the income of the farmer. So it's never been exempt since 1976. And the taxes have been paid on it every year except this year.
Well, it's county property, and it's tax exempt, unless they lease it out.
Tax rolls say it's not.
That's because nobody did the tax rolls properly.
Okay.
Just like the northern half of the runway. Somebody did that properly either this year or last year. They applied for the tax exemption, but I haven't seen the paperwork on the south half with all the hangers in it. Does anybody know if that application for exemption has been applied for? I went to an airport meeting and they said they were going to do that. I don't remember if they did it or not. But it's the same vote with the hangars at the airport. The property itself is exempt unless you lease it out. And each one of those leaseholders
We're not exempt.
for the airport
We're not
hangar,
exempt. We're
All
saying
public
tax.
property is exempt.
What's that?
each of those airport hangar leaseholders have to property has to be subdivided, measured, a subparcel assigned to it, and the leaseholders, the hangers, are supposed to pay real estate taxes on that.
Mr. Chairman, I can address that issue.
Airport.
Yeah, I'm on the airport board, Earl Baker. They're in the process of doing that, sending out the new leases and making sure that it's been, they're in touch with the assessor's office, and she's been in touch with them, and they've been working diligently trying to get things corrected the way it should be at the airport. And
So the airport's doing it right, why don't the county do it with the county farm? Thanks.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you, Chairman. In regards to reading the statute and asking that question, where in the law does it say we have the power to do what we're going to do? The last meeting, someone asked the question, how many of you have read the county code? Mr. Patterson, I believe you said 3 times.
Yep, at least.
Okay. And I appreciate that because when
And
you
I
read it,
read the duties of the county officers at least 3 times.
okay, so not the whole statute for the county code.
Oh my gosh, that'd take years. No, but I read about all of our duties, and I read of the board duties, but no, I didn't read that whole section.
Okay.
50,000 pages.
But you would say you're pretty thorough on the duties of the power of your board as a
I'm
board member?
comfortable. I'm not an attorney, so I'm not thorough, but I'm comfortable.
Okay, can anybody on this board give me a citation in your powers and duties or give you the power to counsel another public office? You won't find it. And anyone, anywhere, providing a statute that says you have the power to expend public taxpayer money to pay property taxes on county-owned property. What's on the county rolls as being taxed or not taxed is not the point. What you've just identified is the assessor's office has not done their job properly, clear back to whatever year you cited, because public property is exempt from taxes unless it's leased out legally.
It's not necessarily the assessor, it's the county board for not notifying the assessor property.
Well, the assessor handles the P-tax paperwork that says, in a township, we get that form and it says, has this property changed in its use? If they're not filling those forms out or sending those forms out, you may never know that it hasn't been done properly. And that's what you've got here, is a situation where that ground is owned by the public, the taxpayers. It's county property, it's tax exempt under the laws, and somebody hasn't done the paperwork. It's that simple. It's just a matter of doing the paperwork. But reading the full statute and understanding it and reading case law is important because all of this legal stuff that's going on, some of this action is just going to lead to more legal stuff. But I read the transcript again, and I read it because Mr. Patterson and I made a comment, and I want to clarify today's meeting. There's 2 prongs to the treasurer's obligations. The judge sat there and she stated, quote, specifically, a treasurer is ordered pursuant to statute that when an order is received from the county board, the treasurer shall personally countersign and examine the records of the county board orders to make sure the county board has in fact an order for payment of a bill. And she explained a bunch of other stuff, but that was the meat and potatoes of what she said. She didn't cite the statute. She left out a real important part. There's a comma after the end of that. The actual law, the county treasurer shall not countersign any county order before the same is filled up, nor until she has examined the records of the county board, comma, and ascertained that the issuing of such an order is warranted thereby. What does that mean? That needs a written legal opinion. That would have been a first step. That was one of your state's attorney's failures. Such order is warranted thereby. The question is, does the county board have the authority to hire an attorney? We all know the answer is no. The state's attorney can, and the law even changed in 2019 maybe. And one of the attorneys made it real clear. It looks like the agenda, or the affidavit your state's attorney filled out was a way to try to fix the mess on your behalf. And that's exactly what we wrote about in our article. But the problem with the affidavit is it doesn't match the paper trail. There's too many lies. Excuse me, I can't hear you.
He's not talking to you.
He's speaking, so I'm trying to hear what he says. Public meetings are for everybody to hear. If you're going to speak, you speak loud enough for everybody to hear. Otherwise, you're having a private meeting, and you can't do that in a public meeting. It's not hard to simply ask, where in the law does it say I can do this? On number 9 and this tax one number 11, where in the law does it say you can do it? If you can't answer that question, table it until you get good legal counsel that can give you a written legal opinion to show you where you can do it or not do it. Because right now you've got no legal guidance. And you will potentially face a taxpayer lawsuit by paying taxes that you're not supposed to be paying. The other side of it, and I don't know what the new state's attorney is like and whether they will or won't do their jobs, but if you read the Attorney General opinion that I gave you last time, the specific instruction from the Attorney General was you have a duty and an obligation, they're telling the state's attorney of Logan County, to investigate and determine whether to take civil or criminal action against those board members. If you're going to go ahead and pay a bill that you've been advised multiple times the law says don't do it, that can be constituted as official misconduct, and that's a felony. Do you really want to risk that? I don't know what your new state's attorney's like, but I know I wouldn't want to be on that end of that boat, because all she's got to do is punt it to the appellate prosecutor for them to investigate. And that would be a case of where you knowingly and willingly violated the law. I don't think it's asking too much to just simply follow the law. That's all I've got.
Anybody else?
Mr. Chairman, I'd like to ask Denny if he'd remove his motion.
Why don't we get into the meeting? We can do that when we get to the item on that. Okay, that's the end of public body comment. We have a couple vacancies in the county board. Frank Mulholland resigned last month. I believe he'll be replaced with a new candidate anyway. And then we have a vacancy in Board District 2 due to the resignation of Robert Jordan, which moves us into item 6. The Shelby County Chairman of the Republican Party has asked that we appoint Derek Pearson to fill the vacancy of County Board District 2. So Derek Pearson is right here. I'd like somebody make a motion to...
I'll make that motion, Mr. Chairman.
Seconded by Gary Gardini. Those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed say no. Derek, welcome. Jessica will swear you in.
If you would please raise your right hand for me. I state your name.
I, Derek Pearson,
Having been appointed to
having been appointed to
the office of Shelby County Board District 2
the office of Shelby County Board District 2
in the County of Shelby,
in the County of Shelby,
in the state of Illinois,
State of Illinois,
do solemnly swear or affirm
do solemnly swear or affirm
that I will support the Constitution
that I will support the Constitution
of the United States of America
of the United States of America
and the Constitution of
and the Constitution of
the state of Illinois,
the State of Illinois,
and will faithfully discharge the duties
and will faithfully discharge the duties
of the office of
of the office of
Shelby County Board District 2
Shelby County Board District 2
to the best of my ability.
to the best of my ability.
Yeah, Derek, go ahead and have a seat up here at the table. Okay. Moving on, item number 7. Heather Wade. There you are. You moved on. You have a request for approval of drunk and drug driving prevention month proclamation.
Yes, good morning.
Morning.
Heather Wade, Chief Managing Officer for Shelby County Probation. Every year we go to the county board and we ask after I have approved it, I apologize. The holiday season is traditionally one of the deadliest times for accidents involving driving under the influence of alcohol and drugs. I'm here this morning to promote awareness. Every holiday season, we place a tree in the courthouse basement in memory of those lost who report driving accidents. In the past years, we've appreciated the board's proclamation to declare December as Drunk and Drug Driving Prevention Month, and we're asking the county board to continue doing so for the month of December.
Do we have a motion to approve Heather's request? Do I have a motion? Larry Lenz, do we have a second? LaVon Cheney. Those in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed? This carries. Thank you.
Thank you.
Sean? You're up. Sean McQueen, Under Sheriff.
Hi, guys. My name is Sean McQueen. I was previously appointed as the undersheriff for the sheriff's department. I know many of you, but many of you I do not. So I'll try to take up too much of your time. When I was appointed as undersheriff, I was tasked to assist with the CURES funding that you guys, I'm sure you've heard of, but may not know a lot about. I want to give you a little bit of backslide here. The CURES funding is the local coronavirus urgent remediation emergency support program. Pretty much what that is funds that have been allotted from federal government down into the state government. Now it's being dealt down into us. So there's an allotment amount which currently sits at $426,000 that has been allotted for Shelby County. Okay, that amount of money can be brought into our coffers, if you will, if we are able to show that we've had COVID expenses. Okay, initially when this first started, the ability to be able to show them that we have COVID expenses was pretty tight. They were really coming down on us, and they were making us say, "Hey, you're really going to have to show us that what you're doing here is truly COVID related." They've released a lot of that, and they've relinquished a lot of that power, and they're pretty much now saying that if you have a public safety employee that has been on the payroll, has been salaried, or has been on the payroll from March, I believe it's March 20th, up until the end of this year, not that March may not be the right date, but it's sometime in March, to the end of this year, that if you have that public safety employee, and they are under definition as of a public safety employee, their salary and benefits can be submitted to the CURES portal, and then they will reimburse that public safety employee's salary and benefits. So what we're trying to do, or what I'm trying to do for you, is, well, the first thing is you guys need to decide on what do you want to spend the money on, okay? Do you want to try to eat up all that $426,000 in public safety salary, or do you want to do something else with it? And remember, it's got to be COVID related. Now, what I recently got an email from Senator Rose, Chapin Rose, and he's been assisting with, because this is a very detailed, and it gets very dedicated and very detailed as far as how to get this money. And he's been trying to simplify it, if you will, for all the municipalities and governmental agencies and things of that nature. So, to simplify that, his recommendation was to just send off into the CURES portal the request for the monies by saying, hey, we have this amount of public safety employees that have been employed from March, whatever it was, 20th to the end of this year, and we have to provide them with, and I'd be working with Eric on this, we would have to provide them with payroll ledger and general ledger, and then there's another program that we would be utilizing to show each public safety employee's salary. We would submit that, and we would try to eat up all of that $426,000. So that money, we don't lose it, is what I'm trying to say. So we don't lose it. So that's my recommendation, but when I talked to the sheriff, I wasn't 100% sure where you guys wanted to be in regards to spending this money. I don't know. It's obviously up to you. It's not only, the money is Shelby County's money, okay? But obviously, it's got to be a COVID situation. It's got to be COVID related. All right. So that's where we're coming into play. So probably a lot of questions, or maybe I threw a lot out at you, but I just need maybe some guidance on what you want to do. And if you want me to handle it, I'll do it. I'll work closely with Eric, and we'll get this salary stuff sent off to the state, and we will try to eat up as much. When I say eat up, meaning recoup, try to get that money to come to us. Into our coffers and pay for this. Go ahead, Bob.
So it's not a spend before you apply?
It is actually a spend before you apply if you want to do something else. Okay, so it is actually, but that's the reason why Senator Rose's advisement is the easiest way to do this. So you know that that you're going to get the money is to do it the way I just described it. Yes, it is excellent, because if we wanted to do something and spend money and then try to get them to pay for it, you can do that, but you have to put it through what's called a reimbursement test. And so there's many prongs within this reimbursement test. So you have to know what you want to do with the money, and then you have to apply it into this reimbursement test. And then if it hits all those marks within the reimbursement test, then you possibly will get that money, but you might get your project paid for. You might not. They may say, no, sorry, you missed it. You did not get in. It did not hit one of those prongs of the reimbursement test. So now we're not going to fund all the money you just spent. I don't see that happening. I think but truly the easiest way is what I said.
Is there anything you've worked with?
Yeah, I have. I worked with Steve. Steve got, his allotment is different, and I've talked with Steve. His allotment is, we're in allotment A, and his allotment is allotment C. He got X amount of dollars. I think it was $76,000. He got that, and I'm not going to speak for Steve, but Steve said that he is already currently being funded through grants. One of the things that you cannot do is, if he's already being funded through his department through grants, he can't use any of this money, this CURES money. He's already being funded through grants, so he can't use it. So he stated that he wanted to push it off to the county for us to use, since he didn't need it. So what had to happen was we had to ascertain if he has the same FEIN number as the county does, which he does, okay? So then he could push the money from the health department to the county, and that would give us an extra $76,000 to eat up, if you will. Yes.
Would it pay for like supplies, plastic shields, and all of that stuff that
it
should
sure
be
would.
in all of the offices?
You bet you. You get me the paid for, but each office is going to have to get me that.
Yeah.
If you get me the paid for receipts, if these have been paid for, I can submit that, and they can reimburse that. Yes. That's good. We're getting close. December 31st is the end. As far as we got to do December 31st. If we submit things, December 31st is the deadline. But then I think that they have a secondary deadline that comes towards the end of January. But that's a deadline that you don't want to try to play in. You want to try to get everything submitted before the end of the year.
If we go out and recuperate money we've already spent, the shields and all that, the money we get back will simply be available to us to use for whatever projects we want to once we recoup it.
I would assume, yeah, because the money comes back and it should have, the money will be reimbursed to us, and you'll place it back wherever you decide where you're going to place it back.
Yeah, it goes to the general fund then?
Well, that'd be a question for I would assume it does. I would assume it does, yes. Yes. Yes.
What's some of the things that you've had to take precautions at the courthouse and at the jail, and the deputies in their squad cars? What's some of the things
We've had to take a few. Now, I don't spend a lot of time at the courthouse, so I'm not 100% sure what all each department has done in regards to COVID. I'm sure that they've had some expense for some COVID-related changes. Maybe mouthpiece or face guards, and maybe some things that you place up in your offices and things of that nature. The same thing with the sheriff's department. We've just had masks that we've had to purchase and things like that. We've not had a large of expenses in regards to that with the sheriff's department, but I can't speak for what's happening at the courthouse.
What about the prisoners? You have to take more precautions and more things?
Well, obviously, a lot of intake, a lot of changes have been done in regards to what prisoners get to come in and what prisoners don't. So, but that's not really been a cost per se. But we have to make sure that they have masks on when they're brought in and things of that nature. But that's not really a cost that we just put a mask on their face when they bring them in.
You did install an air scrubber early on, an ultraviolet air scrubber in your HVAC system.
At the sheriff's department? I think I remember the sheriff mentioning that.
I think that Ron McCall.
Yeah, I think so. And that would be something that could be submitted and reimbursed. Yeah, I don't know how much the cost was.
The airport, Jared White sent them out there for them when they didn't get some money out there. I think $221,000 so far. But through that, he helped them with that early when it started.
The airport got COVID money?
part payroll and part for supplies? I mean, you split it up, you don't have to just do one whole thing.
Exactly. As long as if people give me, I'm the administrator on the reimbursement portal. So if people give me the expense that something's been paid for and it hits all the prongs within the reimbursement test, I can submit it. Ain't nothing but scanning the bill, if you will, the paid for bill, and then there's a lead ledger that I would fill out, and I would send that off and request reimbursement for it.
So you more or less get a total of all the things you can get reimbursement for, and then what's left, then you would know how much maybe to apply for, like for past salaries and things?
Right. If people start, if department heads start getting me expenses that they use for COVID, and it truly meets the reimbursement test, and I can start submitting that, I can start submitting it right now. And then, once I've gotten everybody's expenses that they've done, then we'll know how much is left that we can start to put in for salaries and try to get reimbursed with that. My whole point, what I'm trying to do is I'm trying to eat it all up. I don't want a penny left at the state level. I want every penny to be here. And if it's submitting those kind of expenses that you guys have done at each head level, then that's fine. We'll submit all that. And then I want to work with Erica in regards to salaries. I know she's going to have to help me on getting the things that they're requesting. And once we get that, we can send that over, and that's going to be the easiest way for us to eat all that.
So what you're saying is that basically all the public safety officers, which are all the deputies and all the custodians and different things you've got over there, are your salaries applied?
It does. Their salaries and benefits all so I believe it's going to be able to be.
So if we have $438,000 worth of salaries and benefits, why even fool with any of the screens?
Well, that's entirely up to you guys, and that's a question for you all. Because what I told the sheriff was I didn't want anybody to think that we were just trying to eat it all up on the sheriff's side, okay? That is not what we're here. We just wanted to give you guys the information. Here it is. Here's the allotment. And you guys need to tell us what you want to do. The easiest way, by what Senator Rose says, and he is right, I've done my due diligence on research, and the easiest way to get this money to eat up is through salaries. You guys know that's the biggest expense anyway. So the easiest way to do it is get into the salaries and try to get that money brought back into the county.
Plus the benefits are really...
Plus the benefits, yeah. And I believe that's going to eat up things pretty quick. It's going to get into that 420 real quick.
I would think it would eat that up pretty quick, but then what I also hear is that each of the other elected officers, if they have expenses for screens, masks, hand sanitizer, whatever it was, if they get those bills to you, you can submit to get that department back whatever that expense was. The question is whether or not their expenses hit all the problems.
Yes, and if it's COVID, it's going to hit. I mean, if you had to buy masks, you had to put things up in your offices, like screens, things like that, it's going to hit your fault. I just can't imagine that. If you truly, have to do something in regards for this COVID, it's going to hit. All you got to do is give me the paid for bill, and
Okay, so all the elected officials are not here today. Jess, could you make sure that they get notified when they get back with this sort of stuff? Okay. Any other questions?
Keep up the good work.
Thank you, John.
thank you for sure.
Yeah.
Sorry.
Okay. Jenny, we're up to item 9.
Okay. Item 9, I originally talked about this last Friday. I brought it up as sort of it was better than the other option that was on the agenda at that time. That's what I felt anyway. And most of the people here, including the board, was happy with that. Now, after saying all of that, when I sat at home and I comprised this motion and stuff, you might be right, the word counseling, Bobby, it may not be the right term, but also I put in there, not just for the current county treasurer, but all future county treasurers, and it was not meant to be punitive. It was meant for an ongoing education. The way I see it is, the treasurer of the county is the banker for the county. And every so often, bank examiners come into that bank, whatever bank you're running, and they'll sit down there and they'll go through your books and they'll sit down with you and have a closeout conference and talk about things and upcoming rules and laws and this and that. And that's good now. And that's what I thought I was trying to do to help bring this body and this county back together. Because I feel that there's too much animosity one way or another. And I can pull that motion, subject to recall, in the future. But I just wanted you to know what my reasons were for comprising that motion. I think we've all heard about the example of the woman up in Dixon. What was it, $50 million, something like that? If somebody would have got involved with her and her job every so often and sat down with her, I think they may have caught that a long time before $50 million.
Didn't they have a situation like that in Shelbyville and Tower Hill?
I believe so. What with the water, something? Yeah. And to me, this is no different like our officers. Every so often, they have to go through updated training. And it's not that they did anything wrong, it's just a means of education. I personally worked in health and safety for 35 years in the coal mines as well as auto factory. And every so often, we all had to go through updated education. That's the way I see this. But yeah, or I'll pull the motion.
Thank you, sir. I think your intentions were really well, but it just seems like there's a lot of things, words that were used that, like job duties, what's the duty? I don't know what it is. We'd have to look into that. But sir, I thank you for doing that.
I'd like to say something here on my own behalf. First of all, if you read the very statutes that you cite in this motion, it says that at any point in time that the county board wants to examine the records in my office, you walk through the door and you ask me, and I'm going to give you the records. Never have I hidden any records from anyone, and truth be told, I have not been asked. I've not been asked. So those very statutes that you want to hold me in counseling for provide for the county board to examine the records at any point in time. We have a yearly audit in Shelby County. We have had a list of findings in that audit, from the new auditor to the prior auditor, that you, the board, have to change and hold accountable other department heads with those finances. So, I would just like to, and then in those same statutes, the county treasurer is commissioned by the governor, and we have to go through a training every 4 years. They do a training, and by law, we have to go to that training with the state of Illinois and take that training, and then we get a certificate that we have done it. So the very statutes that you have put in here allow for you to have any record, and I have never withheld a record, and I don't like the fact that you bring up $53 million, because if we want to really do an examination, I would agree with Mr. Gergen and some others that we need a full forensic audit of this county, and I don't think you'll find the issue in the treasurer's office.
The $50 or $53 million, whatever it was not aimed at you. I said Dixon, Illinois.
And the whole reason Dixon, Illinois was successful because there were no checks and balances in that system. I've watched the documentary, but the findings in the auditor's audit just last year, and I've gone back and looked at prior years, have given direction that would stop some of that very same thing. But when the county board does not make department heads and become compliant with those findings, what have you done with the findings from this year? Have you changed those findings? Every year it's, oh, the treasurer's office doesn't provide financial statements. For one, my software won't allow it. And for two, all of the books of the county, all of the accounts of the county has not happened. That needs to happen to be accountable to these taxpayers. It's issues like that when those funds aren't in and they aren't through the audit, that you end up with money disappearing. And you have checkbooks out there that say Shelby County, and those don't come through my office, and I never see them.
Nobody said anything about any money disappearing from Shelby County. What I simply tried to do was to appease the people Friday as opposed to what else was on the agenda. And at that time, the people seemed to be happy about that. And I had many people approach me afterwards, many from the audience and many from the county board, and they were happy with that. And I think a lot of them seen what I was trying to do. And I still say that this town, this county, and this country have got to come back together. There's no reason we have to be at each other's throats. Can't we all get along?
We will get along when we follow the law, and I will also say, as far as the farm taxes, Jessica and I neither one are obligated to pay those taxes when they are not compliant with the law. No matter what this board does, you cannot force an elected official to commit a criminal felony and face official misconduct charges where then we lose our position and then we lose our pension. You cannot force our hand to do illegal.
There was nothing in this proposed motion that's going to force your hand. What I was trying to do was make everything better. And I think a lot of people understood.
But Jessica, are you in agreement with that, or?
You know, about these farm taxes, as soon as I was made aware the county could not legally pay these farm taxes, I immediately started communicating for months to try to find a solution to the farm taxes other than the county paying them. And I've got, I had several conversations with Brian. I understand his position of not wanting to break the lease. But the bottom line is, how can we pay a bill we have legally been told we can't pay? That's my position. We can't legally pay this. We have statutes. I put the statute with the bill that the purchasing committee looked at. And they approved, they reviewed and want to push that on forward to the board to pay.
Who else has told you that it's wrong? Or who has told you that paying that tax bill is wrong? You checked with other people?
I even talked to our assessor who said she knew the county shouldn't be paying those farm bills. She's checked with the Department of Revenue. I mean, it's not like I just said, oh, the watchdog said it, so it's true. I mean, I've tried to check into lots of other avenues. And like I said, I'm just at a loss at how this county can legally pay this bill, which my name goes on as well as Erica's.
Mr. Chairman, we received a letter from Jessica, and it states, I want to read it, I printed it off in big. It says, Erica had nothing to do with paying the farm tax bill. The bill was never presented to the board, and as I have been asking Gina and the farm committee since March about paying these and never got the answer until these tax bills were passed due. Who's Gina? That's our state's attorney, not here again today, and still ain't got an answer from her. All of this, friends, based on got us all fighting over our state's attorney ain't doing her job. For an example, we got a letter from Mr. Flynn. Y'all get that? Read that? And we put a statute in there about removing her. And it was, it's on there. Why didn't our attorney general say, hey guys, in March, read this? We got nothing. And that's why we're fighting among ourselves. We've got an attorney general that's caused so much chaos in this county. State's attorney, sir. And it's just unbelievable. No representation again today. The things we're doing, are they illegal, state's attorney? No, we don't know.
What?
Thank you.
You're welcome.
I was wanting to talk to him afterwards and appreciate what he did.
Well, there was more than one.
Well, I know, but I'm just saying I was one too, but we appreciate you more than you know, brother.
Okay, so we're gonna move on to item 10.
Hey, Bruce.
Yeah.
I'm sorry. This is a real quick one. Outside observer, I don't have anything
health insurance wording, provide
We had an
COBRA
insurance
insurance.
committee meeting, and we had cleaned up some of the language and stuff in our, amendment, like clean up for our insurance.
Could you speak up, Mr. Chairman?
The insurance committee met, Eric was there with us, we had Travis Smith from Pareto, and Randy Dealer from Chevrolet Insurance. We just needed to change it's for the retirees. We need to change it so they have 18 months of COBRA from the day they retire, they have 18 months, and we just need to get that added to the definition better in the plan. So
What had
I was asking
it
for,
been previously?
pardon?
It's now 18 months, what had it been previously?
I don't know if any.
You mean we didn't even note it in the...
No, I don't think this was even
Okay.
part of it. We're just trying to get it towards legally in there that, this is IMRF has their, this is how they have it, it's 18 months. So that's what we're trying to include in ours.
Mr. Chairman, I got a problem. She said it's not in there, and she's asking for an amendment to something that ain't there. What's going on?
Please.
Yes, please.
We had the retirees and we were allowing them on our plan. And it was pointed out that that might not be exactly kosher or legal. So in talking to Travis, by federal law, we have to provide anyone that leaves 18 months of COBRA. So they're not technically on our plan as a retiree anymore, because as you all know, we are self-insured. And so, again, it was public funds for private, and that cannot happen. So what we're doing is cleaning it up. So what this is doing is changing the language so that when people leave, in that 18 months is a federal law that we have to do, we don't have an option, and it's protection for everybody involved. We have, when I came on, we had, I think, 8 or 9 retirees. We have 1. We will move that person to the COBRA plan, and we have a lot going out in the next month, and they will go on COBRA. So it is something that has to happen.
Erica,
So the amendment is not just something that we never had, we just need to make it.
The language is different, and it's, yes, and we're making it according to the federal law.
Erica,
That makes more sense.
if I were a county employee that were insured, just for example, and I left the county employment, my insurance would terminate, and I would become eligible for COBRA. But if I take COBRA, I pay the premium, is that correct?
Yes.
So, what we're doing is simply stating that you have the eligibility to exercise your COBRA right for an 18-month period.
Which all retirees have also been paying the premium. The county was not paying their premium. I want to make that perfectly clear. So that was not happening. We're just becoming compliant with this.
Thank you for the clarification, Erica.
Yes, thank you.
Thank you. I give you a motion.
I just have one question on that. Then do we have to, on a regular basis, set what the premium is since we're self-insured? Who sets the premium? The committee?
We just discussed that. Do you want me to say it, Robert? Do you want to?
No, go ahead. Go ahead.
We just discussed this with the meeting that we had 2 weeks ago, and it is the recommendation of the committee to keep the premium for the county at $900. We have no families right now. Every insurance is just an individual, a $900 premium. The ASME union employees pay one amount, the FOP union people, pay a different amount. But our numbers were very, very good this year. We took, with the first year you all were on it, they were just terrible. And so we felt like we were on the right track. We're also going to have some money coming back to the county, which is a whole other issue, but the recommendation of the committee was to keep that premium the same this year at $900 a month.
And we can also keep our premiums down if we get everybody in each of the offices to do this health check that we have. But we have some offices that won't participate in it, but it would really benefit the county if we could get them all to do it.
It would benefit everybody, not just the county.
Yes.
And I have been in touch with Travis. We're scheduling that.
Okay.
That's in the process.
So are you saying there's some departments that aren't doing it?
Yes. I'm not sure if everybody in the courthouse is. I don't think that a lot of the people in the sheriff's department, I don't know if even anybody is, or there's Might be some, I don't know, I don't have access to those records.
I don't think you can require that.
Hmm?
I don't think you can require it.
No, I don't think we can't require it. No, we're just asking them to actually participate in it, so it helps our annual premium go down. And we had a good year last year.
COVID help.
Yes.
Okay, I have a motion on the floor. I have a motion, do I have a second? Gary has a second on this. Is there, Lynn made the motion. Is there any other further discussion? If not, let's call a vote. Those in favor say yea.
Yay.
Those opposed say nay. Motion carries. Okay, Levon, motion to approve Shelby County. What do you want to do?
Contrary to what has been said today, I sent a message to all the board members that I was pulling this motion to give the farm committee time to work with the state's attorney to make sure that the lease is working properly and so that those taxes can be paid. So I'm pulling my motion.
Okay. Okay, so 11 is full. Number 12, Gary, law enforcement.
Basically, all I'm doing here this morning is, I think we all know that we haven't had an FOP contract since September of 2018. And it was in negotiation, which was before I ever got on the board. And it went to arbitration, or ruled to go to arbitration before I ever got on the board. And the arbitration hearing was the first week of February of this year. The results came back on May the 11th to our two attorneys, which was the FOP's attorney and Ed Flynn, our attorney, who by that time had to quit because we hadn't paid. So he turned it over to Gina. So this was all done back in May. You have all received a copy of the arbitration agreement. You've all know what the old contract is, and here probably 30 days ago, Mark with the FOP and their attorney, they took the arbitration agreement, put it into the contract, submitted that contract to our county for us to review, which you've all received a copy of them inserting that into the contract, Mark's comments. Mark is here today. He just wants to see if we have any questions basically on the contract and arbitration that he submitted. Obviously, next month, I think our attorney will address this and get us a recommendation, but up to this point, we went from May to today, and I'm not aware that anything has happened on the county side.
What, you're not asking for a vote to approve this, you're just asking for what?
For you folks to get a chance, this has been, a judge ruled in May that this is a solution and sent that out in May, and normally in 90 days' time, you would have it done and it would come to a vote, but it didn't happen. Yes, Jeff?
I've got a copy of that contract. Can you tell me if that's actually the current one?
That is the one that basically Mark's group has put the arbitrator's information in there. That's the draft of the new contract.
So everything that's in here is true and correct?
By the arbitrator and by the committee, I assume, I don't know, I'm not on that committee, but I assume by our negotiating committee, and I know the arbitrator's information is all in there, yes.
Wasn't the hours of work one of the concerns on that arbitration?
No, it was not an arbitration. Arbitration, the only thing that was on there, if you read the arbitration hearing, was salary questions. There was, I don't think, anything but salary questions on the arbitration. The other items that were questioned were negotiation items between both sides. And I'd like Mark to come up front and he can answer these questions since he's been involved in this in the start. And I've been to one hearing on this subject.
Where's our attorney to ask questions to today?
I don't know, but we're going to have one next month. Folks, this is Mark. Please give me your attention. And I just basically, we've talked about it every month at our law enforcement committee meeting since May and tried to get this project going. And so he finally said, I think we'll write up our interpretation of everything that's been discussed in the meetings, everything that the arbitrator ruled on, which is in that hearing that you all received. he put that into writing. At some point, obviously, our negotiating committee and our legal has got to sit down with this group and agree, this is what we all agreed to. We're going to present it to the board for a vote. I don't want to go on for another 6 months, so I want to answer questions that we can today, and then hopefully next month, our new attorney will present us a draft and say, this is what I recommend. No, it's actually a year. We've got September of next year, so in about 2 to 3 months, we'll start negotiating on the next contract. That's exactly right. We've almost rolled it into 2.
Even if you haven't signed the next contract, your prior contract always has what's called the continuing effects clause, which says that whatever is in the contract, will stay in force until you sign the next agreement. And technically that's correct, but the changes that get included.
What's your name again?
Mark,
Your name's Mark, are you?
Yep.
I've got a question. Two things. Do you have the new contract that you're wanting approved in your hand there?
Yeah, well, actually, this is a red line copy. It's not.
Okay, but on page 16, it talks about what the work day is. Does it say 5 8-hour days, or does it say 4 10-hour days?
It says up to 8 consecutive hours worked within a 24-hour regular work day.
Yeah, now that wasn't the subject of the arbitrator's decision.
It also says over 8 hours overtime. If they're working 10 hours, they're going to pull 2 hours of overtime every day?
But you have to negotiate that with your next contract. It wasn't in this contract, presented in this contract, it was done 2.5 years ago. So that's why it went to arbitration. The arbitrator has decided this is the way it's going to be. We really don't have a say-so on it because that arbitrator makes that call. So when we go to the next rate to negotiate for the next contract, then we address these issues and get all this mess straightened out. There's just one thing after another. But each time you come up with different things for your next contract negotiations.
What year did they go to 10-hour days?
Oh boy,
Isn't this the second contract we signed that's
Well,
had the
I
wrong
guess
hours
we
in
were
it?
aware of it, and didn't really consider it because we were just aware of it.
Well, it gets decided on January of this year.
Why did we violate the last contract? The last contract said what? 5 8?
5 8-hour days.
So why did we start violating that contract to go to 4 10?
And the other point is, how do we go to this new contract when we haven't even opened the box on whether there was some wrongdoing in the past on paying deputies? We're going to go back and give retroactive pay? And maybe they've been paid time they never worked?
I guess that's 2 different issues, the contract and an audit.
But can that contract pull us to an illegal thing?
Let's ask our attorney.
We have a contract, so I guess that's what our attorney's for, starting in December. That attorney's going to have to obviously give us an opinion.
But this has been going a long time.
I'm not making that in. I don't think any of us are arguing that. No.
But I would not vote to pay or sign any contract that does not have the correct workday in it.
There's kind of the timing issues, I think, are these. We
I
negotiated
can't
the
hardly
contract.
argue with that, yeah, sorry, but I know you want to wear it, I bet you don't wear it your other places.
Oh, he can talk on that, can't he?
I'm trying to hear it.
You want to talk on the mic?
But I see a problem asking us to sign a contract that was incorrect.
But you would have done it prior to this, Gary.
I know.
No.
What I'm asking you to do today is to review the contract.
But that's not going to change.
I mean, if you were going to sign it today, that would be great, because understand, we've got people that haven't had their negotiated pay increases for 2 years, and they'd like to see the money before Christmas, then it'd be great. But that's not why I came today. Actually, I was hoping that, and this is what happened last month, I sent our draft to the state's attorney, asked her to look it over and be ready to comment on it at your last meeting, of course.
But months ago, we asked to get this all done.
Well, no, I understand that, but the negotiations took place before the audit issue came up. And then we were in arbitration, and the arbitrator laid down a decision which, you know, an arbitrator's decision is law, so we're all obligated to follow it. You know, we can change that.
I think our taxpayers have a legal right to get this straightened out.
Sure.
Before we do another contract.
No, I don't dispute
If
that.
you want us to review this, I got a copy here in my hand. So what you're saying is it's not the correct copy. You've got the red line one in your hand.
Well, no, you've got a correct copy.
He took the old one and made the changes and put it in this draft, which he has submitted to Gina, which Gina obviously has not responded to.
What was the change in there? Why is the hour still not right?
Because we're following what the arbitrator said, the decision. The arbitrator said that they would change the contract according to the stipulations that we agreed to before we got to arbitration, and the changes he ruled on. Now, the changes he ruled on were wages and insurance. And the stipulations were changing the military language to say basically whatever the state and federal law says, and changing the drug testing language to include a statutory change in language concerning officer-involved shootings.
Okay, it involves nothing to do with work hours then?
No, that's something, if the arbitrator didn't rule on it, then...
What was the arbitrator told about it?
Well, no, it didn't come up in bargaining, so it wasn't presented.
No, you gotta remember, this contract negotiation started 3 years ago.
Yeah,
But the wages hadn't come up yet, the hours. The board, the negotiating committee was not aware that we were short hours. And it wasn't an issue in the contract 2.5 years ago. This contract needs to be settled. Then we need to open a new contract right away to settle or amend the contract for the wages. The wages are not right in this contract. You're absolutely right, Jeff. They're going to have to change.
Misleading here.
Huh?
It's really misleading.
Well, and it is. It's been a very difficult contract to try to clean up over the past 12 years. It's a poorly written contract, and that's why we sought outside counsel. We've only been able to change portions of it. It's going to be up to the future boards to continue to clean it up. And that's, what you got to do.
And you have to work with the unions too. Sometimes you just can't get every single thing you want in one contract. It takes different contracts, to get everything settled.
And that's true
All
for
the information
We're
on
not trying to
the
get false information, Gary. This was been in there.
That's a short question.
Bob, you got a question?
Yeah, can we get a copy of the red line contract? That way we don't have the old and the new sitting there. Do we have a copy of the red line? Okay. Well, my point is it's easy to go through and identify.
I think there was a narrative at the bottom that explained all the changes he made.
Yeah, those were all the mechanical changes.
Right. Well,
Those were like format and dot i's and crossing t's and that's what that list is.
whatever it may be, if we've got the red line, which I've seen this in other handbooks and stuff where they scratched a certain language, which you could see what that language was, and then they inserted the new. That is important to know where we come from, where we're going.
Well, and I sent the red line to the state attorney.
So that red line would be.
I'm sure we'll receive that from our attorney. But you got to realize we haven't had an attorney since April on this issue.
See, here's the other unfortunate part.
So that red line needs to be.
That's what he did. But he gave you all the list of changes, at the end of it.
He wasn't. I don't think he's not hiding anything. It's in there, and it just may not be redlined.
Right, like you have to
But,
copy the old
but
contract, and then it says all the
I
changes
think
at the
where
bottom part.
Bob's going with this is he'd like to see it where it be redlined, so it would, when he reads this, even though that you have put this in, that it clicks that this has been changed. If I got that right?
Yeah.
But I'm saying that's our attorney's job, not his job.
And look,
And you're right, that is our attorney's job, and it's up to us, with the county board, to address the state's attorney to get this thing done.
Correct.
So is, ands, or buts, that's what we need.
That's correct.
What would be even better is a labor attorney, but look, I mean, first of all, this is the first arbitration, and I've been bargaining contracts here since 2007. This is the first arbitration we've ever had, and I personally don't like it. I'd much rather have the parties meet and agree and decide on something, but ultimately what happens is we went into arbitration. Now, meanwhile, what usually happens in that case is that the attorney that represented us in arbitration and the attorney that represented you in arbitration come forward when we revise the contracts, and they look at it, and one says yes, and one says no, and one says no, this is what we meant, and then they come to an agreement on each of our behalfs, and then we take the contract and we all sign it. But this time, we lost the guy you had for labor attorney at the time when we probably needed him to sign. I was going to have the state's attorney be here today, and of course that didn't work out. I would have brought my own attorney, but his teenage daughter tested positive for COVID last week, so he is home. so that part didn't work out either. Well, right, and so I was on the agenda, and since I was on the agenda, my people asked me to be here, to be here for that, so that's where we are.
I have a question for you, Gary or Mark, either one. So it mentions kind of the unique situation of our lake here, and I feel like there might be a metric missing out of this. So as the home valuations, we're ranked number 5, and in the group of 9 there, we're right in the middle, but our per capita income, we're number 7, so we're farther down. And I'm curious if, the property value around the lake has changed a lot, and it said the arbitrator would have used county income from sales tax or general revenue. If there's another county that's comparable to us that's bringing in double the amount of money in the year, wouldn't that be a key metric to have? I mean, if we're going to aim around.
Well, look, understand, my degree's in business and law, but I'll tell you this. When you go to arbitration and you agree on a set of comparables, those comparables are set in stone until you go to arbitration again. So when we do discuss comparables in the next negotiations, it will probably be the same counties that you see there.
At that hearing, the arbitrator did go through all those items and explained it very clearly what he was using. He even asked for discussion about, there was 1 or 2 that were arguing about whether they should or shouldn't be included, and he made the decision what he would include and not include in his comparables.
So the arbitrator says that they would have used county income, sales tax, revenue, that sort of thing.
Mr. Chairman, my understanding.
Earl Don's had his hand up.
Mr. Chairman,
Earl Don's had his hand up for a while.
Don's got his hand up.
You're Earl, right? Okay, hold on a second. Don, no, Don is sitting behind.
My understanding that, from what I understand, the arbitrator made a ruling, and therefore what the arbitrator says has to go into effect. Is that correct?
Yes.
Yes,
So
sir.
therefore, we're talking about a mute point here. We need to make a motion to approve the arbitrator's ruling and put it into the contract.
Yes. The arbitrator's ruling has to be put in the contract. His attorney has reviewed it. In my opinion, I think our attorney needs to review it. And then I think our attorney will advise us what we need to do so we can get this done.
If what the arbitrator said has to go, why does there have to be any looking at it by the various attorneys?
Well, our attorney's got to say that the arbitrator's ruling all got written into this contract. Right now, this is what Mark and their attorney has written into the contract, but we haven't had an attorney look at that ruling and tell us that that's in the contract.
I agree with you, Don, but I think for our due diligence as a county board and our constituents, we need to make sure that the wording is correctly put in the contract before we vote on that contract. And that's what we need our state's attorney to do next.
Normally, Ed Flynn or...
What you're saying is correct.
Done that in July, yes.
Let's make sure the wording is put in there, that wasn't a typo, maybe that might be caught or something not added. But I agree 100% with you, Don.
Yeah, I am too. The ruling says these things are decided on, they're not for discussion, so it's over. You're right, it's over. But we have had no attorney review it. Ed Flynn received the decision because he was our attorney. He passed that decision on to Gina. I don't know if anybody's heard anything since then or not. I have not, but I'm not on that committee.
Mr. Chairman, what I would like, we've got a board member asking Mark questions, and he says, I don't know. I would suggest, Mark, that you take his questions back to whoever you need to take back and get our board member the answer he's asking. Simple as that. It's simple.
That's up to our state's attorney to answer our questions. What? That's up to our state's attorney to answer his questions.
He's here to answer questions. He's standing in front of us.
I think my attorney.
He says he don't know. I call him.
Bobby?
Do we have another one before?
No,
This was not discussed in a motion.
Listen, can I, now, you're here. It says on the
Yes.
agenda, request approval, so.
And I already said I wasn't going to ask for that. I did that when I first walked up here. I'm sorry nobody heard me, but I did say I was not going to ask for a vote.
It was discussion on the issues.
I said I only wanted to discuss it. He'd like to make a comment. He'd like to listen to it.
Because I don't want there to be any surprises in here. There is one other change that was made in this contract to the uniform allowance, which used to be a quartermaster system. And Gary's up here and he can help me out with this. In 2019, the county came to us, the law enforcement community came to us and said that the quartermaster system was costing them a lot of additional money. And so they wanted to change back to the original language that we had back in 2015, which gave out a uniform allowance. And so we drew up a memorandum of understanding, and we all signed it, and it was approved by the board in, I want to say, October of 2019.
September. Yes,
Board
I
member
did.
saw it.
I've got a copy of it. I've got the
Well,
email.
it was approved, and the funds were advanced in 2019 to pay that, and the funds were advanced again just recently in 2020, the appropriate date, to pay it. So that change was in the contract as well, and you'll see that. And we have a signed memorandum of understanding, and the chief deputy, that is Rob, had told us that it had been brought before the board and voted. So that should be in your minutes. I don't have a copy of it, but I just want to make that clear.
Mr. Chairman, I'm still asking, to find out.
I can do that.
Present this to you. Does this email say that you're presenting it to the board? May I read this?
Yes, you may read it.
Okay. I do have an email dated September 25th of 2019 from Erica to Kay Carney, myself, and Bob Simpson. It says, board members, I have attached a document I have received from the sheriff's office regarding the clothing allowance and how they would like to proceed. The treasurer's office and auditor are fine with this resolution. I have sent this to Ed Flynn and asked for his input. My assumption is this will have to go before the full board and be passed and then processed forward. If you have any questions, please call me. I will let you know as soon as I hear from Ed, or from Mr. Flynn. And there is attached a resolution about the change to paying $750 instead of them having to turn in bills. It's dated September the 25th. And it's attached to the email that I received from Erica. Now, I have not looked to see if this was approved by the board. I haven't looked to see if it's filed. But I do have this showing that it did go to the Law Enforcement Committee and that Erica refers to talking to Ed Flynn. So I haven't done all the homework, but I'm not an attorney either. But I do have the email saying this was going forward. Yes?
Did the full board vote to do that?
I said, I don't know that. You can look that up.
That's the big question on this.
Yes. I'm assuming we did, but I did not look that up, but I assume you can. Okay. And it obviously had to be done after September of 19. Because so it's probably on the October meeting, because this was September 25th, so it could have been on the September meeting. I'm assuming since I got these emails that it was done. But I haven't researched the clerks. records.
We all know what a student does.
What can I do? I'm not an attorney, folks, I'm not claiming to be.
Gary, I think you're up for the next
Oh, yeah.
item as well, amendment to the payroll policy.
No, that's just,
Yeah.
I didn't even ask for it.
that was just information to us.
And nothing was wrong.
We just talked about it. I mean, it's not, there was no action required.
There's no action, but it was just information, what's going on, to give information to this board.
Yeah, this is,
He's not asking for a vote, he's not asking anything. What he's trying to do is be transparent and let not only the board, but the public know. Yeah.
And I completely dismissed it, that's very confusing, he said, I'm not gonna ask you.
okay, I'm just,
Because I have the same question.
well, thank you.
Okay, the next thing is a payroll policy amendment. Basically what we're doing there is we've discussed it in several of the different committees, and Lavon and I have worked on this together. I have to talk.
One you're talking about here?
Got the, say, recommended revisions for payroll.
Yeah.
Yes, say recommended revisions. Everybody should have got this in their package.
Just got it today.
Okay.
It was also sent out earlier. They got it applied.
And basically, we just looked at the wording. I did talk to our accountant about that. I talked to another accountant about that. I talked to the Attorney General's office. And we talked to Gina about it. And we basically, in the discussion, I mean, if you all read the jobs of our supervisors, elected officials, we provide the funding to their offices. They run their offices. They've been requesting the payroll policy to fill out a sheet. The supervisor and the employee signs that sheet saying, this is what I'm requesting you to pay my employee. This is what the employee is requesting. Those sheets are turned in. In some cases, those amounts have been paid. In some cases, those sheets have been changed and the employee has been paid something different. And that's been going on since our payroll policy went into effect earlier this spring. We've addressed it at a law enforcement meeting in August. We've addressed it in meetings here. We've addressed it at the budget. Basically, nothing has come of it. But we were told at the last meeting that she follows the board's policy. So we've amended this policy. And it basically is saying that whatever the supervisors sign on that sheet and turn in, them and the employee have agreed. They're saying, this is what I want to be paid. Anybody I talked to said they didn't feel like an employee could ever go back later and say, I was underpaid, overpaid, or anything when they have signed their pay sheet saying, this is correct. There's a policy in effect that if you amend your pay sheet, you both have to sign it again saying you changed it. So basically all this does is just clear up the language so that the supervisors are in charge of their departments. They sign a sheet asking for this to be done, and they are the supervisors of their department, not someone else. And this just cleans that up. I'll let Lavon answer any other questions.
I'd like to speak to that.
That's
As
fine.
the payroll department,
Yes,
there are payroll laws that in my statutes govern. You can talk to the Attorney General, our auditors are not payroll specialists, they're general auditors.
No, but they check.
I said in a meeting, I was talking, I didn't interrupt you. I told you a month ago, 2 months ago, whenever it was, I spoke to the Department of Labor. My issue with this is I was informed by the Department of Labor, and if you look at the law that's been presented 100 times, I believe Jessica sent it out again with this packet, timesheets have to be true and accurate. And I was told by the Department of Labor, if we don't pay according to the hours on those timesheets, we are opening up the taxpayers of this county to, first of all, back pay, and then penalties, interest, fees, fines. Now, are two different things. I processed a payroll on Tuesday where an employee had worked an hour and a half and took 6.5 hours of personal time. They wrote it backwards. I changed it and I sent it back over to the department head and said, I don't think this was figured right. So to sit here and accuse my office of changing timesheets isn't right. We pay based on the time in, time out. I am going to pay what those timesheets say until somebody gives me a legal opinion. If you talk to the AG, then get it in writing. Because I've talked to the Department of Labor 100 times, that it says clearly in the law, a true and accurate timesheet. I've talked with Christian County and other counties on how they process. And it's on the timesheet. We cannot have employees who clock in and work 11 hours and say, I only want paid for 10. The timesheet clearly shows they were on the clock 11 hours. And the other issue is if they're driving home and we're going to not want to be paid, if they get in a wreck and workman's comp needs to cover that, are they going to sign a waiver that says, I don't want workman's comp while I'm traveling to and from work? This is an issue where the taxpayers are the ones who are going to be on the hook. I don't understand what is so hard about a true and accurate timesheet. That's what we, and the union contracts say it, do they not? Both our ASME union contract and the FOP contract talk about true and accurate time. But to change a payroll policy, I said, if you change it to the language that's in this, my girls are scheduled 8 to 4 with an hour lunch. I have an employee that wants to leave at 3 o'clock every day. Go on, have a good time. See you tomorrow. But her approved work schedule is 8 to 4, so I can pay her 8 to 4 because that's her approved work schedule?
You shouldn't, you're the supervisor.
But when you change this, right, I'm the supervisor, I shouldn't, and I wouldn't. But when you change the language to what is in this, it is not according to law, state or federal law, it is not according to our contracts. And if I want to say my employee only works 6 hours, not 7, what's to stop anyone from saying, well, they only work 6, but I'll give them 7, because that's the approved work schedule. The approved work schedule is 8 to 4 with an hour unpaid lunch. This language does not protect the taxpayers of this county. And I don't know what is so hard about turning in a true and accurate timesheet, and we should have, for liability purposes, for workman's comp purposes, for transparency purposes, every timesheet that's turned in should be true and accurate. And nothing should be paid that is not on a timesheet. It's that simple. I've never worked anywhere where keeping time is so difficult.
If we're wanting to be accurate, then why do we not want to have a time clock?
I don't know how many times it has to be said that ASME union contract won't open it up right now. And you know what? There's a large expense to that as well. It's something that ASME's contract is going to be open this year as well, and it's something that can be discussed in arbitration. But at this point, Gary, and we've said it 100 flipping times, the only way that we could do it was with a time sheet. So, given that was the only option we had at the time, that's what we've asked for. And I will say that we still have a lot of time sheets that are not true and accurate.
And we have a fact sheet, which you distributed to us from the state, that shows there's several ways for us to account for our time and be legal. In this case, what have we done? The employees have been writing down their time. Somebody's been writing something down and turning it in.
They want paid. They don't want paid.
now.
They don't want paid based on in-out times. You have an in-out time, and you're asking us to pay less than what's the in-out time. That language, can I see that? That language, point blank, says that it would be approved work hours on the approved timesheets by the supervisor and not time in and time out. When the law says you base your pay pay on time in, time out.
And the way to know what the law says is when somebody takes this to a court, and I was told that by every one of those people I checked with, till somebody tests this in a court of law, you're not going to find a law that says you got to do it this particular way because there is none.
Do you have that in writing from legal counsel?
Bob?
It seems to me like.
No, I have that in verbal.
Do you have it in writing from legal counsel?
Bob?
Do we have a legal counsel
Yeah.
on this
So
subject?
my comment-
Then let it die.
Martha?
My comment to this, and it really seems like this is unique.
Lynn?
It really seems like this dilemma is unique to the sheriff's department because they have shifts in and out. A real simple solution that I would suggest is rather than shifts butting up, overlap. You got employee A, B, C, and D. They never work the same 8 hours. Midnight to 8 or 1 to 9, but they're all in alternating hours. That way there's none of this, we got to get to work early to get briefed on what was going on so we can start our shift. No. The off-going shift, the previous guy that was still on for another hour while the new one's coming on, does the briefing, you clock in at 7, you go home at 5, you get your 8 hours in, by the way, not 10, because it doesn't work. And then you move through. But to have to be on the clock at a quarter till, either to be at the PD or to be, on site, seems trivial to me when we can just mesh the schedules. So anyway, that's
I
the
agree with
solution
you.
I'd like to present.
I guess Sean is not here, is
while we're
he?
here.
Is he left? I guess Sheriff's Department is not a there's nobody here to really represent the Sheriff's Department.
We have overlapping shifts.
You do have overlap, okay?
He worked all night.
Sean did, okay.
Yeah.
We're back to the same question. We're not going to answer this or settle it until we have our legal representation here.
No, and what I'm saying is currently, it is in black and white that every department head is in charge of their department, and all we do is provide them the budget to work on. And it says very clearly, we cannot tell them how to run their department. We can just provide them the budget.
So what you're saying there is, you're going to allow one department to force another department to
No,
also...
wait, it's all departments. This policy doesn't specify a department.
Everyone in the courthouse, I'm going to presume, is pretty much 7 to 4, 8 to 4.
8 to 4.
The sheriff's department is the only one that's presenting any literature stating that they want to do something different than what everybody else is doing. What I have a problem with, though, is what you're presenting is one department wanting the payroll to do something that is against the payroll rules.
No.
It's not against payroll rules. So true and accurate timesheets has nothing to do in this situation.
I think they're saying they don't want to be paid for overtime, they're not actually working.
So then why they clock in? They turn it in. If they didn't clock in if they clock in 15 minutes early, when they radio in, they're on duty.
So every person in the courthouse is being paid from the time they write on their sheet till they go out, and no supervisor is showing their person from 8 to 4. They're showing what time they actually wrote on their sheets. Is that correct?
Or they come in and overbill or what?
I'm not on the person committee.
Well, I've been told by other department heads that some of their employees do not write on their sheets exactly 8 o'clock and do not write exactly 4 o'clock and don't write they were out this time for 30 minutes, but they do receive their 7.5 hours pay.
They don't get 7.5, they get 7.
They said, okay, but they get their pay, but it's not to the minute with what they wrote on their sheets. And this fact sheet that came out to us back in August, and this came out 3 or 4 times, in the example, the person is showing clocking in 5 or 10 minutes early, 5 or 10 minutes late. He wrote 8 hours out to the side, he got paid for 8 hours. So he didn't get paid exactly what was on that sheet.
And that would be a department policy. I mean, Jessica tells her girls they can't clock in or write on their time cards until 10 minutes before. I mean, you've got a little bit of leeway. My girls come in and they might write on their time sheet 7:57. I told them, there's no reason to be here before 8 o'clock. Unless they know I'm going to be out because I'm there way early, my office is open, ready to go. All they have to do is walk through the door and boot up their computer. So if people are writing exactly 8 o'clock when they're there at 7:56, that is a department head issue. If they're coming in at 8:04 and they're writing 8 o'clock, that is a department head issue. Timesheet shouldn't be 8 to noon, 1 to 4, because that is falsification of a legal document. My rules do it 7:56 to 4:02, whatever it is, and a lot of times at 4 o'clock, Tim's got the light off and we're out the door. But that is a department head issue, and those timesheets should be, when true and accurate, that gets down to the minute. And if they have to work 15 minutes over during tax season, sometimes our phone rings at 3:59 and you answer and you've got to deal with something, and by golly, they're going to put 4:10 or 4:09 or whatever it is on their timesheet. My girls, and I know Jessica's girls know, you put the true and accurate time. And this is not a department head should be overrun. This is a payroll issue. Payroll is something that, and you created a policy back in May. You passed a policy. County policy dictates to every department head how some things will be run. I can still run and really, let's be truthful, state statute tells me everything I do in my office. There's very little that I get to pick in my office except I want a desk here, I want one over here, I need this printer, that. State statute dictates everything we do. And county board policy, as you passed in May, dictates how payroll is to be processed. That is not an issue that every department head has the ability to do whatever they want. And we all need to be compliant with the law. That's why we passed this payroll policy, so that we can become compliant with the law. And if what it really is also about, it's about being transparent to the taxpayers with their money.
Gary, I got a question. Did you define approved work hours? Is that before their work or is that after their work?
The approved work hours is what, if you see their pay sheets, they have columns on their pay sheet, which you won't have it, the others have, because it came out in an email, I think, before the October meeting. But they put how much they want for work time, vacation time, comp time. They fill out a column. They turn that into their supervisor. They both sign that sheet before it goes over to the payroll department saying, this is the time we request. But there's the total at the bottom is the approved time that the employee and the supervisor sign before they send that sheet to payroll. According to our policy, if you don't send that sheet to payroll, you don't get paid. So I assume that's happening. And it says that the people who sign it are the ones who are responsible for it.
So my question would be is, if my approved work hours would be 40 hours a week and I only showed up 20 that week, what do I get paid for?
20. You're going to get paid for 20. Because that's what you're going to turn on that sheet.
Derek,
Because your supervisor's not going to okay you for being paid for 20 hours more than you were.
Derek, the issue surrounds, the sheriffs all take their squad cars home. So when they get off at the end of their shift, they drive home for half an hour. And they get home in the morning, let's say they're on 8, they click into their car at 7:30 and drive to work. Is that half an hour of drive time, paid time? That's the issue here. Erica says it is because that's when they're on the clock. The sheriff says no, they're scheduled at 8, but they tell us they're on their way.
What do they do if they have come upon an accident on the way? They got to say.
Then they are actually call on duty, and the
They
sheriff
go on duty if they come
That's why they
on.
should be, as soon as they clock in, they're on duty. When they clock off, they're off duty. I don't care if it's extra overtime or not. Them people are watching our back. They're there when I'm sleeping. They're there when our kids are in school. And we're going to nickel and dime our deputies for that? Come on, guys, wake up to the fact. These guys are the ones who protect us. Next thing you know, you want to defund the police department. Give me a break. Dick with them. Pay them when they're on duty and when they're off duty, period.
Pay them what you request.
Bob?
Point of order, do we have a motion on the table?
No.
Yes.
Well, we have an amendment to policy discussion, we do not have a motion.
Lamar does have a question.
I have a comment to make. The whole issue is about travel time. In the information that was sent to us, travel time is defined as, and this came from the Administrative Code, Title 5-6, Section 210.110 definitions. It says an employee's travel performed on the employer's benefit, for example, in response to an emergency call back to work outside his or her normal work hours, or at the employer's request to perform a particular and unusual assignment, or as part of the employee's primary duty, or in substitution of his or her ordinary duties during normal hours, is compensable work time. It does not say the 10 minutes that they left from home to this employee travel time is to be paid for. I found nowhere in the information that they sent us where it says they are to be paid time in, time out. It says, and the example they show, it shows time in, time out, hours worked. They do not match. The time in on several occasions was more than the 8 hours they were to be paid. The supervisor approves the hours to be paid. The time in, time out indicates they were available for work. I used to work in a factory, and I had to punch in every morning, and I was always there before my shift started, at least 15 minutes before. But you couldn't get in the building unless you punched in. When I left, I punched out, and it was after the time I was to get off work. I guaranteed you I was paid for 8 hours. I was not paid for 8 hours and 30 minutes just because my time clock said I was there 30 extra minutes. We pay them work hours. Also, it describes what hours work means. And there's nothing in there that says if you're there to work 15 minutes early, you get paid for it. The people in the offices are putting their work time as 8 o'clock, when they actually may have been there 15 minutes before. So is theirs true and accurate?
Mr. Chairman, I'd like to address what she's talking about. I worked for a factory for 35 years. I understand management and union. I also helped police commissioner in the police department, and there's 2 different pictures between a factory worker and our deputies that are on call 24/7. They get woke up at night. You expect them to come in, punch a clock.
But it's about
Or
time in
they
and
come
time
on
out,
duty.
girl.
They come on duty when they hit the radio and say, I'm on call, I'm ready.
I'm ready. It doesn't say I'm at work.
Call that. Guns are ready. I can't understand a word you're saying if you're trying to say something. But I'm talking to Levon. These people, you're looking at apples and
I'm
oranges.
not trying to shorten
When
anything,
you're
Earl.
talking the police department versus a factory,
We're
you're talking
clarifying
apples and
policy.
oranges about pay.
We're clarifying policy is all we're doing.
But you talked about working in a factory. You're covered under workman's comp in that factory, but on the way there in your car, you have a wreck, is workman's comp going to pay you?
No, it is not.
Because you're not at work.
Will
That
pay.
police officer will get paid because he is at work when he gets in that car and drives down the road.
It will pay you if you're on company property and you get hurt
Yeah.
before you punch it. Yeah.
Yvonne?
Yes, Bob.
What was the address? What was the code that you're looking at?
They sent it to us. It's called the Administrative Code. Joint Committee on Administrative Rules, Administrative Code, Title 56, Labor and Employment, Chapter 1, Department of Labor.
So chapter 56 of the Labor Code.
Yes. They also sent us a fact sheet from the U.S. Department of Labor, fact sheet number 21, record keeping. It's very clear that time in, time out is part of record keeping, but it says nowhere on that fact sheet that that time in, time out is to be used to pay payroll. It doesn't say that anywhere. It just says those are records you have to keep. Yes.
So if somebody puts, and I'm going to use this for example,
Okay.
if you work from 7 to 8, if that is your scheduled hour,
Yes.
and you put on that timesheet 6:30 to 8:30, you have put on that timesheet 2 hours. If you
Yes.
claim one, you have falsified a document. Not only just a document, but a legal document, because now we're talking about taxpayer dollars that are going to get dispensed.
So, but I think the time, and Jeff will have to clarify this for me. I think the timesheets that they turn in have the time that they let the dispatcher know they're available. Is that correct? Is that automatically recorded?
Our in and out times, say if I work from 7 to 5, I put 6, if I come on at 6:55 and go off at 5:10, I put 6:55 and go off at 5:10, and I make sure the dispatcher tells me what time that was, so that we're accurate. I'm only asking for 10 minutes, 10 hours though, in that. So the other 15, the 5 at the beginning and the 10 at the end, I'm not asking for. And which is what this is clarifying.
Right.
We're not asking for the in and out times. We're just asking for what's approved by what we've requested.
By you
what
and the
we've
sheriff.
approved,
Yes.
and what the supervisor, the sheriff, has signed off on the same paper.
So then if they change their timesheets to match those 8 hours, then they're falsifying documents.
Correct.
You put them in the same boat you're accusing of it, because then they're falsifying documents.
Well, if their scheduled work times from 8 to 5, then write down 8 to 5.
But yet, they were.
Make that correct.
10 minutes.
But if you're going to be on duty prior to 8 o'clock, then you are on the clock prior to 8 o'clock.
The Department of Labor told me you have to pay according to those hours. If they work 11 hours and only want paid for 10, I was told we could be penalized. We could go back and pay however, whatever those hours total over however length of time, whatever length of time, we could go back, be forced to go back and pay them that time with interest plus have penalties and interest. That those timesheets are record keeping to pay off of. Otherwise, I don't know why we're keeping them. But that's what I was told. You have to pay according to the time. Otherwise, you open yourself up to potential a lot more money.
Do you have that writing so we can have that?
Yeah, do you have that opinion?
From the
It's
department?
the record keeping. I mean, you pay based on the record keeping.
This person in the record keeping, they didn't get paid by in and out, they got paid 8 hours. They came in a little early, went out a little late, but they got paid for 8 hours. On
They
the
were paid
example.
by what the supervisor, the thing here is what the supervisor approves. The supervisor is the one that sets the hours, makes sure they work the hours, and records the hours.
But I don't think as a supervisor, I have the authority to tell my girls, oh, hey, guess what now? We're only going to work Monday through Thursday, 4 10-hour shifts, and we're going to take Friday, Saturday, and Sunday off every weekend. Which, in a sense, that supervisor did because he changed their contract from 5/8s to 4/10s. And I don't know if they get paid 2 hours of overtime after 8. But I know that's like, I mean,
I'm not talking about just the sheriff. I'm talking about you, Erica, and Steve. They approve the hours their employees work and are being paid for.
We're the employers.
They're the employer.
We are the employer.
No.
The county's the employer.
The county is the employer.
No. The board's not the employers.
The
The
county.
elected official is the employer.
You're not elected. You're appointed.
I understand that, but my board of health
And the thing
is.
that you're ticked off about, and I'll just say it, was because I got a timesheet from your office 2 weeks ago where you told me to pay an employee 35 hours of overtime where I had absolutely no documentation that that employee had worked 35 hours. This is the kind of stuff that we have to deal with every payroll. If I get a pay sheet that says, shows this employee worked 70 hours in the last 2 weeks, but on the bottom it says pay the employee 35 hours of overtime with absolutely no supporting documentation, and then I get crucified employed us,
There's statute.
it should be correct.
I'd like to tell you-
Why did you approve 35 hours?
Okay, I provided documentation for 35 hours. I have an approved budget line item for overtime. It's a separate appropriation code. Up to this year, I've never had more than 1,000 hours of overtime. But this year with COVID, I put the budget at $5,000. The Board of Health approved it, and the county board approved it in the budget. It's in the budget, you can check it. Has a separate appropriation code. Upon what Erica asked for, I did provide her documentation on that, what days and what times the overtime was occurred, and we did put that on the payroll timesheet.
No, it's on the
Now,
timesheet.
is that a cumulative time over a month?
It was over a month, right? Hold it. You know what, yesterday, we had 30 cases. And you know what? It's Veterans Day. And people are off. Well, you know what? We have to call those people within 24 hours. And when there's 30 cases, there's 3 or 4 other contacts in there. So it's 120 phone calls in one day.
I understand that. We call the coroner when they die, Steve. I understand that too. Then why can't you just give her the document that she needs to say 35 people, this person's getting 35 hours overtime because he came in because of this,
I
this,
did.
this?
I did.
Okay, then what's the problem?
I don't know.
Did you get that?
I got it after the fact, it was the
After-
No,
Sunday over.
you got
Wait, it was an overtime slip, but there's nothing on the timesheet. Every timesheet says 8 to noon, 1 to 4.
That's right.
One of the timesheets said that this person was in at 7:30, worked till 8, then their timesheet said 8 to noon, then an overtime slip said noon to 1, and then their timesheet said 1 to 4, then an overtime slip said 4 to 5:30. Here's another fact there. That is a violation of labor law because the person never got a lunch break. But it was not on the timesheet. It was not a true and accurate timesheet.
I don't know what she's talking about with that.
You don't know what she's talking about when an employee works 4 hours and doesn't get an hour break? You don't understand?
No, they do get it out.
I thought you were better than this.
Okay.
Their overtime slip said they didn't.
Okay, for one thing, let's just go ahead and get it out here right now, I guess, because, you know, we're going to change the board next month, anyhow, what you said. Fact sheet 33, our United States Department of Labor allows you to have 15 minutes to round up or round down on 8 o'clock, okay? State and federal government follows the 3 branches of government: judicial, legislative, and executive branch. State of Illinois follows the same branch of government: executive branch, judicial branch, legislative branch. Shelby County is the same form of government: legislative branch, judicial branch, executive branch. Executive branch are the elected officials and the appointed department heads, such as the highway department and myself. We are the employers of the county. The judicial system are is the judges and probation department and that, and the legislative is the county board. The county board statute and function is to oversee the entire budget of the county. Okay, so the employers are the sheriff's department. The employers are the highway department. The employers are Jessica's office, and Erica is the
I'm
employer.
talking about your department now.
Okay.
All I'm saying is that when you give somebody that you feel needs to be documented, hey, that's all she's asking for, the paperwork.
Well, and you know what? I thought I got it. Okay, I thought I did it.
Okay, well, if you didn't do it, you could just state that and get it to
Well, I can show you emails on this. I mean, hey. I really don't have any problem with the timesheets. Yeah, my timesheets say 8 o'clock in the morning. That is when you're going to get paid, because that's when you're supposed to be working. You're not supposed to be working at 8. It's 7:45.
get paid. Simple, Steve.
Yeah, I know. You're good.
Simple.
Okay, all right. So this one is one thing I'll have to see.
Thank you very much.
Fact sheet 33, Department of Labor, Healthcare entities, okay. Says you can round 15 minutes up, 15 minutes behind, but it always has to be in favor of the employee. So if my person comes in, they're not working at 10 till 8. No, they're working at 8 o'clock, because that's when we're going to start paying them. They're going to be sitting in their office, doing whatever they want to do on their phone, playing on their games or whatever. I don't really care till 8 o'clock. lunch, everybody's off for lunch, they go to Walmart and shopping, and then from 1 to 4. It's like a 7-hour day. I have to maintain a consistent 35-hour work week, so I have to allocate percentage of time and fringe benefits across 12 different grades. Do you think what it would be if I had to sit there and say, this person came in and I put them on the clock? I know this is different than the sheriff's department, but I had to put them on the clock at 10 till 8, and then their work week would turn out to be 35 hours and 30 minutes or whatever. Or 35 hours and this next person's 37, and this person's 38. And how does that affect all my budgets? And all my allocations? All that stuff pre-approved. You got to do it. You can't do it. And we really don't want a time clock. We want a timesheet. We want the flexibility for the employer and the department head to have that 15 minutes on the front and back. Now, I also gave you an email from Sherm. And Sherm says, the premier personnel, that says that you cannot deny a person their paycheck whether they turn in a timesheet that was incorrect or didn't turn one in at all. It's the employer's responsibility to make sure that that employee gets paid properly.
Hey, Steve, take a breath for a minute.
Okay.
I want to ask you another question.
Okay.
That's a simple question.
All right?
Do you trust your employees?
Absolutely, 100%.
When they give it to you?
My employees get way more money. I want to tell you something. I get $300,000 from the county. I get that $200,000. And I put $135,000 surplus.
If you entrust your employees, you take what they say as gospel, and if you find them lying, you need to fire them. As long as you feel you're trustworthy, they say, hey, Steve, I had to work 10 hours this day. I know you're under a lot of pressure, brother. I know you're under a lot of pressure. I read your reports. I read the people that are sick. I read the people that are dying. And if you got a staff that you can trust, you say, hey, give me the time, get it to her. I'll back you on that. But if you got an employee you find lying, he needs to go.
Look, everybody's due diligence, everybody's getting more than what they get. The taxpayer is not getting cheated on this. We only get $300,000. Our budget's $1.3 million. We put $1 million that we earned from vaccines, from everything else, from grants.
You got more money coming. You heard the deputy sheriff. You get
65% of my budget, 65% of my pay is being paid from COVID tracing right now.
Well, let's talk to Chapin about that. We need to get you more money, brother.
That's a good point. On point. Is there a motion?
Yes, that's what I want to do, yes. I'd like to make a motion that we accept the payroll policy amendments as has been presented today.
We got a second? Kenny seconds.
And I ask for a roll call vote on that.
Okay.
Well, we got to have discussion. Yeah, we've already had discussion. We got to have discussion.
Go ahead.
Motion to table.
I'll second that.
We don't have an attorney. Which one of these motions?
Mr. Chairman, Bob made a motion to table this. It would go to Gary if that was a friendly motion to help him out, or it would not. So, yeah, it does. This lady right here, Robert's Rules of Orders says, and Kurt, if you have a motion on the floor for anything, and somebody else comes back with the motion to table or whatever they might want to do, it would be a friendly amendment or a hostile amendment through Robert's Rules of Order. So your motion supersedes anything else.
So we can vote on the motion. It was a motion second, vote. Vote.
You should vote on the first motion.
Yeah, I think we need to vote on the first motion.
Yes.
Wait on legal counsel.
Yeah, that's why I'm saying, because we don't have legal counsel, we need a legal opinion on this before we go screw something up. We're sitting here in an impasse.
Well, we've got a motion on the table.
We've been here way too long today, and
See,
you're right.
here's the problem with County Commissioner Robert's rules, and I just interrupted you, which means the chairman's not keeping order and drink.
No, that means
Now, I'm gonna make a point
you
here.
have to leave.
And what you should have done right out the gate, is according to Robert's rules, that's what we're gonna do, is make the motion. Then you got your second. Then we go square in discussion. In discussion, if I feel the need that this needs to be tabled now, then motion to table, then I get a second, then we vote on the table. We don't vote on the motion to do this, we have to vote on the table. So we have not followed Robert's rules for 12 months I've been on this board, but by golly, it's about time we all get brushed up on it and get rolling on it.
Right.
So, motion table, Jeff seconded it, vote on it.
Call for the question.
Okay, call the question. Let's vote on Bob's amendment. Do a roll call.
To table. Earl Baker.
We're voting to table it, right?
Vote to table.
So,
What are you
yes.
voting on here now?
To
Whether or
table.
not to table Gary's motion.
And I recommended you table.
You do?
This.
Okay.
There's no need to go through this.
We don't need none of that.
Go ahead and take the votes.
They can do it. They can do it.
Okay. Earl Baker.
Let's go.
Yes.
Kenny Barr. To table. Barb's gone. Levon.
Yes.
Brian. Dennis.
Yeah.
Jesse Durbin.
Yes.
Gary Gergely.
Yes.
Richard Hayden.
Yes.
Terry Metzger.
Yes.
Bobby Mormon.
Yes.
Gary Patterson.
Yes.
Derek Piercy.
Yes.
Robert Simpson.
Yes.
Jeff Slifer.
Yes.
David Switz.
Yes.
John Tate.
Yes.
Lynn Williams.
Yes.
Motion to table passes 16-1.
One point. Sorry to stare right at you. I need somebody to vent to on that. Okay. I apologize for staring square at me when I
Oh, well, okay.
I was
Okay.
addressing the board.
Gary, you're up next again. Discussion establishment for Shelby County policy.
Okay, I'm going to make a motion first. I handed out a policy to all of you today. It's for a manager's council. I'm going to read this so everybody can hear it. The Shelby County Board hereby establishes a manager's council beginning in December of 2020. This group will consist of the state's attorney, the board chairman, the vice chairman, all elected officials, and all department heads of Shelby County in order to improve communications and procedures in Shelby County, and to recommend policy and solutions to current situations in Shelby County, such as the farmland lease and taxes, the FOP grievance, the payroll policy and procedure, grant procedures, which we know we need help there, better reporting of county business and finances. This group shall organize in December of 2020. The board chairman will call the first meeting, and the group will elect officers at the first meeting. It is recommended that this group meets at least once per month on a fixed schedule to allow as much participation as possible. The recommendations of these meetings to be shared with the Shelby County Board so we can improve Shelby County for all. I make the motion that we approve this policy.
Do I have a second? Okay, second by Brian. Now we go into discussion. Bobby?
Discussion. So, two questions. Is this an additional committee that you want to form?
No, I really wouldn't call this a committee. This is more like economic development, and then these people are all employees of the county, other than the chairman and the vice chairman, so I guess it's a committee meeting for them. But the rest of these people are, I'm just asking for a group to meet so that we can get through these issues, so that these people can communicate. It's very obvious our departments do not communicate. They don't have any feedback to this board. They don't have basically a limited amount of rights. I mean, people don't get a chance to tell us what they'd like this board to do for them. They don't get a chance to tell us when they need help, like Sean did today. This should have been done 3 months ago. Somebody saying, I'm working on this $400,000 that Shelby County can get. It's all of our money. They're asking for it back, and here we are 30 days ahead of the deadline, and people are scrambling to go after this like Sean. Some have already got their money, some are still wanting it, but that's all I'm wanting as a group. It's managers doing their job. There are very few businesses that the managers do not meet and discuss what they need to do.
We're elected officials. We are not managers.
You don't have to meet, it's optional. I'm just saying, I'm in favor of doing this. If somebody doesn't want to meet, I'm not ordering anybody in here that they have to meet. I'm recommending we have this council. Anybody who wants to participate can. Anybody who doesn't have to. We can't fire them. We have no discipline of them. I just recommended we try to get some communications.
Isn't that what you are supposed to do at this meeting?
Yeah, so we're going to tell the courthouse to open up and all of them come out here and to try to discuss what they want in this group. Do you think we would get anywhere?
That's what the budget committee's for. If we have something that we have need, we go to the budget committee. And again, everything goes back to statute. The only thing we can discuss is maybe some equipment we need, and that's the stuff that we put in our budget so that we can get the stuff we need to run our offices. But, I mean, my office runs different than her office and has different needs. Statute dictates everything.
Well, if this has been legal, then I guess it'll be
So that was my next question is, if the county board is going to establish this, where does it say in the county's code that we can establish such a thing?
Where does it say we can?
And then,
It's not how we can.
that's Dylan's rule. My next point is, I'll kind of forget that because it had to go back to Denny's motion earlier, and we talked before, and I told him I found a statute about manager's counsel. Well, when you put counsel in a word, you can deviate that many different directions. So I looked up counseling in state code, or county's code, and it comes up 5 times. And the one time that it isn't referencing criminal matters or judicial anything, it had to do with employees. But that was in a county of 350 to 1 million. So we're out of that anyway.
How did you spell counsel there? C-I-L or S-E-L?
S-E-L.
Okay, I'm spelling C-I-L. I'm talking a group,
this is
not
a
a lawyer. I'm talking a group.
But a counsel would potentially counsel the other felon. So anyway, if the county board is going to establish this, and we can't find a statute that supports it, then here again, he's got no on the floor. I would recommend just voting no.
Okay.
Okay. Any other discussion?
When I got put on the budget committee, Dave said that it's also called the executive committee. Now, the one thing I agree with you is communication. But I don't think we've ever used the executive committee the way it was set up to do. At least in the last year or two, it is not. But maybe we already have this, and we just didn't realize we have it. So I think it's already there in place, but we need to start utilizing it.
We need something because we have very little.
Is this another committee where everybody wants to be paid for?
I just said these people are all already being paid except for
You got board chairman, you got vice chairman, what are you talking
That's
about?
it.
You're talking about
It's not a board.
people outside, or are you talking about?
No, it's named on here. Read it again, please. These are all employees.
It's just called
We have a call for a vote on that.
That way we can have a paycheck.
Yeah, we have a call for a vote here.
And who pays it?
We're gonna do a verbal vote.
Yeah, I want to.
Those in favor say nay or yay. Those against, yay.
Can I show hands?
No, I want to roll call.
Patterson, Simpson, Barr, Garbage. Okay.
Okay, those opposed say nay.
Well, the only 4 that voted for it was Gary Patterson, Bob Simpson, Danny Gurnovich, and Kenny Barr.
15, Erica. Erica has reviewed this with the Budget Committee, and the Budget Committee recommends that we support Erica in this motion. Go ahead, Erica.
I would just make a recommendation that we do a one-time payment to IMRF to reduce our ECHO retirement reserve from $328,861.55 by $300,000. Whatever that balance is on December 31st, we're going to pay 7.5% on that. 2 years ago when I took office, I think it was a little over $1 million. We paid $500,000 last year. We paid $300,000, and I'm recommending we pay $300,000.
And you have the money in the IMRF fund.
We have the money there.
We have over the past several years upped our levy for that account to accrue this money. Because she's absolutely right. It costs us 7.5% to borrow from the state from our deficit. And so
We have 2 more ECHO retirees. One will be retiring November 31st, and the other one will be a while. So just FYI, next year, if we pay $300,000, don't expect $28,000, because that's probably going to go up because we will retire someone this year. So hopefully that'll be happening.
okay, we have a motion back here from Terry. Do I have a second? Bob, we have a second from Bob. Any discussion on the matter? If not, those in favor say yea. Yea. Those opposed say nay. Motion carries.
I think you need a roll call, spending money.
Okay, let's do a roll call vote.
Earl Baker.
Yes.
Kenny Barr.
Yes.
Levon Cheney.
Yes.
Brian Kaufman.
Yes.
Dennis Cernovich.
Yes.
Jesse Durbin.
Yes.
Gary Gervany.
Yes.
Richard Hayden.
Yes.
Terry Metzger.
Yes.
Bobby Mormon.
Yes.
Gary Patterson.
Yes.
Gary Piercy.
Yes.
Robert Simpson.
Yes.
Jeff Slifer.
Yes.
David Switz.
Yes.
Don Tate.
Yes.
And Lynn Williams.
Yes.
Motion passes unanimously.
Okay. Anything else, Erica?
You know, the treasury report.
Yeah, go ahead.
We started with $2,708,642.71. Payroll liability numbers there. Revenue last month was $839,703.73. We had another disbursement. We have our last disbursement next week. Expenses $473,565.70. Ending balance $3,101,844.92. We have restricted funds in the amount of $544,569.45, leaving us a cash balance of $2,557,275.47.
Erica, our payroll liability is up considerably in October.
So we have the 3 payroll months.
It's okay. That's all I need to hear. Any other questions of Erica? Okay, none. Alan, you're up next. Your turn.
Good morning. This morning, I have 2 petitions, 3 resolutions, and quite a few updates this morning. First item I have is a petition from the Clarksburg Highway Commissioner to replace a collapsed drainage structure. The road is currently closed as a result of the collapse. It's located approximately 2 miles south of Clarksburg. Estimated cost is $7,000. That would be split equally between the county and the township. I'm asking approval to help Clarksburg Highway Commissioner with this replacement or repair.
Motion from Jesse. Do I have a second? Jeff Slifer. Any discussion? If none, do those in favor of this motion say aye. Aye. Those opposed say nay. Okay, approved.
I have another petition from the Clarksburg Highway Commissioner to replace a bridge that is currently 90 feet long. This is a bridge that we had to close a few months ago due to the flood. Actually went over the top of the bridge and caused some damage to the bridge. As a result of that damage, the state inspected the bridge after we inspected it, and it was reduced from a posting of 12 ton to 8 ton. It is located approximately 2 miles southwest of Clarksburg near Hidden Springs, so it's a long way around the bridge. It's currently 8 ton, which means school buses and emergency vehicles really should not be going over the top of it. State recommends a 15 ton for that. The estimated cost is $540,000. That includes engineering. The normal process, if the petition is approved, is that I come back with an engineering firm to begin the design on the project. Engineering expenses are 80% state funded, and then 20% would be local. Again, it's a 50-50 petition, so that 20% would be split equally between the township and the county. The construction cost would be funded 80% federal funds, 16% state funds, and 4% local funds. Being 50-50, that means the township would pay 2% of the construction costs, the county would pay the other 2%. This is a common petition. I'm going into a little more detail than I normally do on these, but just to be clear, we have 24 townships, and a lot of them need bridge repair. It's a common thing to get the process started, to get the funding, to get going on these bridges. The first step is a petition. So I'm asking approval for this petition. I'll make the motion.
So moved by Jeff Slifer, do I have a second? Jesse Gerber seconds. Any discussion? If none, those in favor say aye. Aye. Those opposed say nay. Okay. Motion passes.
The next couple resolutions that I'm going to talk about is to use Rebuild Illinois Fund. That is funds that came from Capital Bill that was approved in June of 2019. These funds for the county are restricted to be used only on capital improvement projects that are bondable. So it will be common for me to come up here, ask for these funds to be used for projects that we have approved to go forward with. And that allows us to use these funds instead of local funds. The first resolution I have is to use Rebuild Illinois funds instead of local funds for the engineering and construction of the Cowden-Herrick Improvement Project. It's a 5-mile improvement resurfacing project. I'm asking for approval to use $100,000 out of the Rebuild Illinois funds. We will receive, by the way, over 3 years, $936,000 in funding for that Rebuild Illinois. We have received 2 checks in 2020, totaling a third of that amount. The Cowden, and also I have asked the state, and I haven't gotten an answer back on that, but I'm hoping these Rebuild Illinois funds for the engineering, for example, like the Cowden-Herrick job we designed in-house, hopefully we can get our time reimbursed for that too, or not reimbursed, to be used for that from Rebuild Illinois. That project has been approved to be bid on March 5th of 2021. So barring some unforeseen event, I would expect that to occur. If something happens to change that, I will inform you. So I'm asking for that resolution to be approved.
I'll make a motion.
Okay, Brown makes a motion. Do I have a second?
Yeah.
Kenny Bar makes has a second. Any discussion? If none, those in favor say aye. Aye. Those opposed say nay. Okay, motion carries.
The next resolution I have is to use Rebuild Illinois funds to replace a bridge on the Moweaqua County Highway. That bridge is 30 feet long and is actually considered a legal load only bridge. What that means is no permitted loads are allowed to go over. It is not posted because you have the option on legal load classified bridges to either post it as legal load or not. We have chosen not to post it that way. We find that's just confusing to the public, so we don't. That is, it is has deteriorated concrete, exposed rebar. It's a bridge that I've been wanting to replace for many, many years, and now with this Rebuild Illinois fund coming in, is the time to do it, in my opinion. It is located approximately 2.5 miles east of the village of Moequa. Estimated cost is actually, I'm asking the Rebuild Illinois funds in the amount of $250,000. That may go up or down. If it does, I'll let you know.
Do I have a motion? Levon, Kenny seconds. Any discussion? Those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed say nay. Okay, motion carries.
Earlier this year, in February, I believe it was, of this year, I might have that month wrong, but I believe it was in February, a resolution to use professional services agreement with the local firm called Hammond & Reed was approved, and it expires in December. They do, I'm asking for it to be renewed. It's to help us with bridge inspection, construction oversight, design support, right-of-way plats and surveys. So I'm asking for it to be extended until 2021. It's considered a master task order agreement. My staff has been reduced from 15 a few years ago to currently 11, and I expect another retirement here soon, sometime next year. So I'm asking for that professional services agreement to be renewed.
Do I have a motion? Levon, do I have a second?
Second.
Don? Is that right? Don Tate. Got a motion with a second? Any questions? If none, those in favor say aye. Aye. Those opposed say nay. Okay.
Okay, I have some updates, quite a few actually, and I apologize for that. There's just a lot going on right now. First thing, I want to explain the salt storage shed that I described last month. I think I needed to do a better job of doing that. So I want to be very clear about how that project's going. Last month, the contract for the hoop structure portion of the salt storage shed was awarded by the county board in the amount of $35,950. The county, it will be installed by the contractor. It will be installed by the contractor on top of a foundation that will be constructed by my department. The foundation consists of aggregate for the flooring. At least initially, we'll see how that goes. I may in the future want to make that concrete. It includes concrete foundation footers, which my department will install. Concrete blocks, 3 high, that will be purchased and installed by my department. Backfill around the building and anchoring. I expect our cost, not including my people's labor, for those items to be in the range of $10,000 to $15,000. So I would expect the entire cost of the salt storage shed to be around $50,000. I also did some information on the warranty for the hoop structure portion of the project. I have meeting minutes, and I believe they are sent to the county board. Is that correct? So when you get your meeting minutes of our Road and Bridge Committee, I've attached that warranty information to it. So if you have any questions, give me a call. Basically says the main cover is 15 years, the end wall fabric 3 years, the main steel 15 years, and the end wall steel 15 years. The life expectancy of a salt wall storage shed is approximately 30 years. Next item I have for updates is the annual motor fuel tax budgeting has been completed with the Township Highway Commissioners. Again, we have 24 of those. That's been completed, and it includes increases to their budgets for motor fuel tax for the upcoming fiscal year, for motor fuel tax fiscal year, from January to December. We have scheduled the bid opening for the rock portion of the motor fuel tax program for December 7th at 9 a.m. out of the County Highway Department. Bids will be publicly opened and read at that time.
Did you say December 7th?
December 7th at 9 a.m.
Okay, because that's also the organization meeting for the county board. So you're not anticipating any board members being there, correct?
Normally, that is our normal committee meeting.
Okay.
I didn't know what time is that.
Their organizational meeting is at 9 on that Monday.
Well, maybe I'll see if I can't change it. I had a problem getting it scheduled. What would I have to do to change the committee meeting?
Maybe we could just push it back, time-wise? Okay.
In the same day?
Same day?
Oh, okay.
Push it time back?
I would have to issue a new...
Yeah, well...
That's a good idea. Well, we just figured that. So
okay.
Strike the 9 a.m. part of that. December 7th at the rock letting, which is to be determined now. Let's see. The next item I have, I think, will be just to increase the information about what goes on the county highway. I have generated a project list, which I share, go over with the Road and Bridge Committee each month. But I have not been handing them out to the county board. If you look at my meeting minutes, again, that is sent to you, you will see that attached, and I'm more than happy to answer questions about that once you take a look at it. Next item, IDOT has approved the bridge replacement project in Flat Branch Township. The bridge in Flat Branch Township has been closed to traffic due to structural deficiencies for over a year, maybe a couple of years. That bid is currently scheduled for April 23rd of next year. The construction cost is estimated at $326,000. That would be funded 80% federal, 16% state, and 4% local funds to be split equally between the county and the township. So that's the status of that one. The Westerville Railroad Crossing approach that I've talked about for many months is currently open to traffic. The only item remaining on that project is it's a railroad crossing approach project. I don't know if I said that properly, but that's what that is. The only item remaining on that project is to seal coat the road with several layers of oil and chip. Due to the lateness of the year, we will do that in the spring, but it is open to traffic. The Illinois Commerce Commission has sent paperwork on a railroad crossing approach project. By the way, the West Belt Railroad Crossing Approach project I just talked about is 100% funded. Similarly, there's a railroad crossing approach at Todd's Point that had been scheduled by the Illinois Commerce Commission. Recently, we just received the stipulated agreement and signed off on that. So the normal process will be that and the railroad has signed off on it. So the normal process will be for that to go before a judge. An order is issued, and then we are approved to do the construction of that project. It is 100% funded, and the estimated cost is $165,000 funded with state funds. think the only thing we have is that, you'll notice around the county, this annual striping of the roads, safety striping, the center line striping has begun, and that is done by actually Christian County. They own a machine to do that, and they charge us, and it's done, it's being going on right now. That's my report. Yes, sir.
Kind of project the timelines on the Clarksburg Bridge.
The collapsed bridge, now that it's approved, we will either, I call it a drainage structure because it's less than 20 feet. In reality, by Webster's dictionary, it's a bridge, so I call it a bridge. Now that it's approved, we will order either pipe or repair the bridge, and that should occur a few months. It takes about normally 6 weeks to get pipe culverts in after I size them, based on the drainage area. If we repair it, it might happen even quicker, because what happened is a farm implement went through the bridge and bent the beams, and possibly we can repair that, but I'm not really sure. It's not in real good shape anymore. So that should happen in a few months. The Clarksburg Bridge that we just passed, a $540,000 bridge, it's probably 3 or 4 years. Yeah. That's just
what went through? What went through the bridge that meant that?
A farm implement, I believe it was a combine.
Was it somebody's combine?
Somebody was in it, yeah. They lost.
Does their insurance pay that?
Well, I need to find out if I got a accident report from it, and then we can inquire.
And is the bridge currently?
The problem is, I'm sorry.
Is the drainage structure currently posted?
I was just going to say that's exactly the point I was going to make. The problem is with obtaining insurance payments for that. This isn't the first time this has happened, first of all. Right. The time before, the structure that the implement went through was actually posted at a certain weight, and they went over with more weight than that. And we were able to get reimbursed from the insurance company. On this particular case, there is no posting on the structure, so theoretically, not theoretically, I mean actually, there was no law broken. So we won't get payment in this case. Now you can ask why wasn't it posted, but I was. We only inspect and evaluate bridges that are 20 feet or longer in length. This is less than that, so we're not required to. I mean, it's a good idea, but we're not required to. We do what we can, and if a highway commissioner comes up and asks, can you evaluate this structure that's less than 20 feet, we will do it, no questions asked. But it's not part of the National Bridge inspection process.
I got a question, not on your report, Alan, but is it proper time now to ask other questions about?
Highway?
Yeah, like snow, about some snow routes.
Yeah, go ahead.
Okay. Like the road going from Herrick to Tower Hill, you know that strip of road?
Yes, sir.
And then there's a road that cuts over to Lakewood. What is our normal procedure on getting the trucks out, when they're going? And what starts the movement of the snow removal on those roads?
All roads, of course, we look at the weather, and if we feel there's a storm event, when I say storm, I don't mean a big storm. I mean if there's snow, and we feel like we can do some good by plowing the road, my foreman and I talk a day or two in advance of the actual event that's forecasted. And then if it's a weekday, like Monday through Friday, we usually, our normal work hours are 7 to 3:30. We normally have the crew come in at 5 a.m. on those days. We have 6 snowplow routes. We have divided the county up into 6 regions, And so we have 6 snow plows. We have 6 people to man those snow plows. So they would immediately go out at, 5 a.m. We would have the trucks ready the day before, like loaded up and the plows ready, so that when they come in at 5 a.m., they would go out. That would be Monday through Friday. The reason I'm saying Monday through Friday is because we try and get out there before school, before businesses, but depending on the snow event, if it's a large snow event, it takes 4 to 6 hours to get through a single route.
So
6 routes.
So that 5 o'clock, not necessarily your magic hour. If you got a lot of snow coming, it could be earlier.
It could be earlier, yes.
Okay, now the second question. You have a guy named Stacy working for you?
Yes, Stacy Prosser is my foreman.
Okay, he's telling residents there that they don't leave they don't get out there over 5 no matter what. Can you instruct him if it's emergency, they're going to be out there before 5?
Absolutely.
Thank you.
County Highway 5, I talked to you before, just northeast of the air marijuana plant on that 90. You got an update on that?
I do. I call that Duval corner, correct? Yes. Just making sure I'm in the right spot here.
Yeah.
That is a corner commonly used by, like farmers and campers and visitors of the county, because they has access to like Coon Creek, Possum Creek, and all that. People use it to go back and forth to those. So they're pulling trailers. It's got a sharp corner, kind of a curve, but it's got a sharp corner, and it has a box culvert currently underneath that corner that has deteriorated and is narrow. And there's no banisters, and it's a safety concern. So yes, I agree with you 100%. It needs to be replaced. We have ordered the pipe to do that, and it's actually sitting in my yard right now. So we're just getting it ready to get scheduled. I think I was by there the other day, and we had flags up, flags to identify the area for underground utilities. Yeah, underground utilities, so that we can get ready to put it in.
Okay. Do you anticipate that happening before the bad weather or the spring?
I would anticipate it happening before the bad weather, depending on when the bad weather occurs, but I'm assuming bad weather won't occur until December or January.
Okay.
For snow, I mean, I know it'll get cold before then, but if it's a normal year, we won't have any significant snow before December, or the first year. Yes, sir.
I had a call from a supplier of MFD products in my district and wondered why, according to the highway commissioner, the bill had been turned into you twice and it was 4 to 5 months old, and why it isn't until after this meeting's bills are paid that they're going to get the check.
Well, I don't know that specific. I'm going to ask you a couple of questions about it, but
I'm not sure I can answer your question.
Okay.
But I'll try.
Okay, but in general, the way bills are paid out of the highway department, I think it's the same in all departments, is that we submit, I can't speak for other departments, so the way we do it is we submit claims to the clerk and also to, and they get logged in. Correct me, Jessica or Eric, I'm not really sure how you guys do your business, but it gets logged in. Each claim that we submitted after it gets reviewed by the Road and Bridge Committee gets put in about a week or about 7 or probably 8 or 9 days before this meeting. Is that correct? No,
They're due a week before.
A week before, okay? And we are not authorized to make any payments out of the highway department until you guys vote on it. At the end of this meeting, I believe the last agenda item on every meeting is that you approve the bills. So the reason that supplier does not get paid until this meeting, that's the reason. It's not approved to be paid until the meeting.
I understand that. I guess what I'm asking,
I don't know why.
according to what I was told, and this is just what I was told, that the highway commissioner told the supplier that they turned their bills in, and then that a month later, they turned them in again. And, you know, that's why
Are you talking about the township highway?
Yes.
So, and they're getting paid by the county?
Yeah. That's
The
true.
supplier is MFT funds, and MFT funds are paid by the county for townships.
Correct.
And I don't know if the township commissioner or whoever turned it in and turned it in a second time, and, you know, it's been quite some time.
I don't know why a mistake was made, but that's not normal. So if you could have him call my office.
I talked with Jessica, and she says the two things in question are on the bill to be paid.
This month?
Now.
Okay.
And it's going to get paid, it's just that
I don't know why it would take 2 months. It shouldn't take 2 months. Thank you.
Hey, Bruce? Sure.
Yes.
I just wanted to add additional comment. Illinois state statutes do, when you're negotiating with the union, empower the county board as co-employer, so. Site plan comments before, so that you guys have full authority to negotiate with the union on behalf of the county employees.
Mr. Chairman?
Yes.
Since Steve is still here, I just like to ask a question. Is your budget being strained with this COVID, Steve?
No, it's not. Actually, we got more money than ever.
You're good for the budget, you don't need no help?
No,
Okay.
other than maybe more people down the road, I don't know, unless it keeps going, but.
If you need help, let us know.
Okay, item 17, has anybody got any committee reports? Okay. No committee reports. Chairman updates. I've got a comment to make. Jeff, last month you asked about Ed Flynn's bill that regarded having some gun sales. And everybody here was kind of, and I was too. I couldn't think of it. And I wasn't chairman when Ed Flynn worked on the gun sales. The gun sales did not occur while I was chairman. But as I recall, and this has to be thrown out now because I'm probably the only guy that's going to remember this, is that the sheriff had sold some guns. And this came up to Dave Pruitt. And Dave called Ed Flynn to find out the authority of the sheriff and the gun sales. And that's when, and got Gina involved as well, that's when the gun sales were reversed. They went back and got those guns from locked and loaded. And not one of them got away, I think. But they went back and got those. But Ed Flynn got involved and put hours on there because Dave Pruitt asked him to take a look at that.
Well, I knew I'd seen that on there, that's why I brought it up.
That's a good
It wasn't all labor related to what he done, is the point I was trying to get across.
And it might, but the reason that it was on there is because it was related to the sheriff's authority. That's why it was there. As I recall, I wasn't chairman, I didn't get involved in it, but I was informed. Okay? Okay. Next item, chairman appointments. We've got some appointments for the Emergency Telephone Standards Board and the EIEDA. Some of them are renewals, and I believe some of them are new. The first person is Bobby Orman I'd like to appoint. Can I do this as a group, or do we need to do this individually?
I think you could do it as a group, because they're all in their terms and they're all in with the same board.
Okay, this is all one term. Bobby Orman will be a renewal. Troy Agnew, I believe, is a renewal of the term. Sean McQueen is the new undersheriff. And I'd like to appoint them to the 911, ETSB, EIEDA, emergency
No, it's just
transport. So
the 911 board, EIEDA is separate.
that that's, you don't have any appointments for you. Okay, I'd like to appoint, recommend or ask for a motion for appointment. Okay, got a motion from Brian, do I have a second? I have a second from Kenny Simpson, or Kenny, Bob Simpson. Any discussion? Those in favor say aye. Aye. Those opposed say no. I have no correspondence. We need a motion to approve the claims.
What's happened with the auction? Anything got started yet or anything?
I haven't heard. I think the new board will be the one that hears.
What was the question?
The question is what's going on with the internal audit, or the forensic audit? I have not received. Huh?
Has it started or?
He has started. That much I know.
Nobody can hear?
I don't know what's happening. The sheriff's out here to report, so. Okay, do I have a motion for
Who said the
approval?
sheriff? I thought we voted on the Eric.
They will. Don't worry. Whoever's going to hear is going to hear, okay?
What's the sheriff involved with the audit?
Well, the sheriff's getting on with it.
They have to stay.
He's got to provide all the information.
Okay. In other words,
He's providing it. I don't know where they're at, is what I'm saying. Okay. Item 21. Do I have a motion to approve the claims as approved? Don Tate, do I have a second? David Switz. We have to do a roll call on the approval of claims. Jessica.
Earl Baker,
Yes.
Kenny Barr,
Yes.
Levon Cheney,
Yes.
Brian Hoffman, Dennis Cernovich,
Yes.
Jesse Durbin, Gary Gergadine,
Yes.
Richard Hayden,
Yes.
Terry Metzger,
Yes.
Bobby Orman,
Yes.
Gary Patterson,
Yes.
Derek Piercy,
Yes.
Robert Simpson,
Yes.
Jeff Slifer,
Yes.
David Switz,
Yes.
Don Tate,
Yes.
Glenn Williams.
Yes.
Motion carries.
Before we quit.
I'd just like to take a minute, this isn't an opportunity for everybody to get their tomatoes out and throw them. But Richard Hayden, it's his last meeting, I think it's Laverne's last meeting, and our chairman's last meeting. So I'd just like to take a minute and thank these guys for their service. Anybody that's not going to be here next month?
We have a motion to table. I thought we were mentioned to Gary, but that was a separate motion, so I was wrong on that, and I apologize. But I thought it was an amendment. It was not, it was a separate motion.
Thank you, Gary. Okay, Don.
Jessica mentioned a while ago when Alan was giving his report and Tuesday about some kind of an organizational meeting on the 7th. Explain that, please.
We have a recap tomorrow, our recap of the election. The election will actually be finalized as of November 17th. After that's finalized, the winners will be notified and we will get out letters regarding the organizational meeting. Only those newly elected board members will be sworn in on December 7th, but you all need to come because there will be an organizational meeting after the swearing in to elect a new board chairman and a new vice chairman. So it will be December 7th at 8:30 here for the swearing in. And like I said, you will all be notified with a letter and an agenda. Yes. What?
I was told there was a December 1st date.
December 1st date is for the elected officials, the state's attorney, the coroner. The county board has another swearing in date, and that's the 7th.